On the camera.
Thank you all for coming. I was here just a few Sundays ago, right, to talk about Lori and send the invitation to all of you. So as you know, Lori is a bestseller author for Animal Communicator. You're going to love it. If you haven't checked her books, please go to Amazon. I have to put that one in there. I have to say, since she came to Oklahoma, I had the honor to be with her in every single show, and although the titles are the same, the events have not been the same. So it's kind of a treat because you get something different each time. And of course the feedback has been fabulous from everybody in Oklahoma City, and then in Energistic last night and the night before. So I know that you guys are here going to have a wonderful treat, wonderful evening. Enjoy it, and then I will give you more information about her. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you. Wow, you guys, thank you so much for having me here. I'm super excited. Caroline has been fabulous. I'm gonna take my shoes off. Because I love sharing this. I'm an information junkie, but most of what I'm gonna share tonight is stuff that I learned directly from animals, actually. Both animals who are in form and animals who have crossed over. And I would say that one of my greatest strengths is to be able to take information, whether it's energy, vibration, or actual words or imagery, whatever it is, from the non-physical realm, and translate it into ways that we can understand. That makes a lot of sense to us, to help us as we evolve. So I'm really excited to share all of this, and I'm so grateful to be here with you tonight. So let me just ask, I recognize some of your faces, and of course I know some of the people have been coming back, but who's brand new to me? Okay, so that's the majority of people in the room. So, all right, so I'm going to give you a little bit of my background so you can know where all of this is coming from. And then after I give you the background of how all of this came to me and how I started doing what I do and what we'll be sharing tonight, then I'll give you some content about what animal communication and telepathy is, what energy is, what the divine mission of animals is, animals in the afterlife. And we'll do a practice as well at some point where you can sort of practice it a little bit to get a feel. And then we'll do plenty of Q&A. I love when you ask questions, but we'll save, depending on how much time we have and how it flows, because it's always in flow. We'll save the very end for readings. Like if you ask me, I can't do full readings, but I can give you insights and support, right, on your animals. Or even coaching. How many people in the room want to learn animal communication for yourself so that you can be a practicing animal communicator? Okay, good. And how many of you are more really just interested in how to directly communicate with your own animal, just more like that only? Only your own animal, but are there others who would really like to do it more in service to? Okay, good. All right, so that's a good mix. So, you okay?
Allergies.
You should come tomorrow. Not to shoot
I'm
on you.
planning on being here tomorrow.
Because I can go off on a tailspin on allergies, but I'm going to table it, so please bring
That's
it
what I get
tomorrow.
for staying out in my garden.
Okay, because I got a lot to say about allergies. All right, but let me give you my story. So as you heard, my name is Lori Spagna, and yes, I'm an animal communicator, I'm an energy healer, I'm a channel. So when I go into healing, a lot of times, especially with groups, just a little bit of trance channeling. I'm what I call an Ascension guide, that's what tomorrow night's all about, the shift of consciousness and the evolution of humanity and this process of ascension that we're all going through, whether we realize it or not. And of course, I'm an animal communicator, so an intuitive, I'm a really awesome psychic. I don't do psychic predictions the way people do as much, but I work with the non-physical realm and assist people and animals. So here's my story. I graduated college, normal, healthy kid, went through 20 years of corporate America, which I call the hamster wheel, and I call myself a good slave. I was a really good slave. I worked 12 and 15-hour days, and at the end of every night, I'd be sitting at my desk, miserable, crying. How did I get myself into this? This is what I came here for. I came here to be of service to animals on a global scale. That was my mantra. I somehow knew that. I want to be of service to animals on a global scale. I didn't understand what I would be doing. I thought I was going to be a great dog trainer. That's what I wanted. That's what I thought I was going to do, dog training. And that was my idea anyway. Caesar Milan, you know. And so during those 20 years, because I was so unhappy, what ended up happening was I was suppressing I was denying and suppressing. I couldn't deal with my own misery at what I was doing. So what do we do in this world when we're suppressing, denying? What do we do? You know, all the things.
Get sick. We get sick.
Yes. I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day.
Addiction.
Yeah, I was drinking 8 beers a day.
Well,
I was drinking 2 pots of coffee a day to get through the day. At night I was drinking alcohol. Couldn't wake up in the morning. My thyroid got really off. My hormonal balance went to the extreme. My hair was falling out. I was 65 pounds overweight because it's suppressed emotions. That's what part of what overweight is. It's extreme emotions that you're not properly processing. And yeah, I mean, there were a host of other things, and I was, spend addiction. I had amassed over the 20 years. I mean, I graduated debt-free from college, but over the 20 years I built up $150,000 in bad credit card debt. Imagine living with that. And I was going to doctors, and what were they doing?
medicated.
Yeah. And I say this, I'm not exaggerating when I say that there were enough bottles that you could line them up from end to end like this, and each one was multiple. So there were like cocktails of colors, and I don't even know, it was crazy. And nothing was really working anyway. None of it was working. I'd go to weekly doctor visits. I spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, time and energy, on weekly doctor visits. And then what happened was my brother died of an unexpected drug overdose, almost out of the blue. Not like we didn't see in a way it coming. In fact, the scariest thing I remember was I went to Key West with my then husband, soon-to-be husband, to plan our wedding in Key West, Florida. There was this big blowout with my brothers. I remember being in the airport. We were like beaten up, and we had a blowout with my brothers, and I remember sitting in the airport saying, that's the last time I'm ever going to see him alive. That was when I realized I was psychic, not that moment, but it turned out that was the last. Like, how did I know that? It was so freaky. I still to this day struggle with that, because some part of me is like, did I just accidentally create that somehow? Not that the ego takes responsibility, but there's timelines. Anyway, all right. He dies, and then I start getting messages from him. It's your dead brother, Jeff. It's New Yorker. Dead brother Jeff talking to me. I'm like, am I crazy? Am I insane? What the heck? I start testing it, as we do when we can't believe something. Okay, if this is real, first it's like, if this is real, all right, he's a pot smoker, show me pot leaves. Show me, his favorite band was the Grateful Dead. I never listened to the Grateful. Show me the Grateful Dead. Show me Bob Marley. After a while, I'm like, okay, those are too easy. Now, show me something else that's unique. One day, the Ghosts of Key West book that we bought together is sticking out of the bookshelf. That was weird. Like, I'm meticulous, So these things keep happening, and eventually I'm like, I get to the point where I realize I can't really deny that my dead brother Jeff is talking to me from the dead. I use this word loosely because that's the way it was taught to me, like, there's no such thing as death. But I kept following that and following the guidance. Eventually the message was like, it's time for you to change your way, because you don't really see it, but you're on the same trajectory that I was. So I took the message and I quit my 6-figure job with 6 figures of debt and all that, I don't know what, all that stuff going on, and I decided to become a dog trainer making $30,000 a year. I don't know what I was thinking, but I followed the guidance. And I start dog training. I got hired by a guy who had been working for the United States government for 20 years training military service animals. So this guy was trained by the United States government to train animals. His tour was up, and he started his own business as a dog trainer, and then he wanted to hire people. He recruited 8 of us. The first year, I worked under his tutelage, and really, we were all videotaped, critiqued. We really weren't allowed to work with clients for the most part. We would be videotaped every day, and the first month was all classrooms, not even working with animals. And the first year, we were working with dogs in high kill shelters in Los Angeles, so we couldn't mess them up, and at best we could help them, right? But because we were being constantly videotaped and critiqued, His thing was, you need to learn to do this without thinking. You can't, it has to be automatic. Assembly line, you know, that's how we work. That's how we're taught in the United States. Students are taught that way. You can't think, you just do. Anyway, nonetheless, I got really good at that. And then in the silence, I would hear the animals. I would hear the dogs. Yeah, I didn't really know I was hearing the dogs, but the one thing I would hear initially, over and over and over, no matter what the dogs, who they were, I would hear, you don't have to do all that to me. You don't have to push me, poke me, prod me, shush me, hang me. That's part of what they do. They hang, sometimes they'll hang an aggressive dog until he surrenders. They have some very aggressive training tactics in the military. And we were taught how to deal with aggressive dogs. I mean, I have a scar to prove it, right? Anyway, what I heard was, you have to listen to me, and I'll teach you. I got really good at listening. So I'm listening to them simultaneously. I'm following the guidance of my brother. Everything's waking up. I start thinking during that year, I'm getting happy because now I'm doing what I love. Like, I wasn't hanging animals to be cruel. I was just learning how to protect myself from aggression. And in all of that, that love, that joy, these animals somehow knew that I really cared, somehow. And they're teaching me things. This is energy. And he's teaching me things too, the trainer. I get happy and I start saying to my then husband, like, I think I'm getting these messages, my brother, I'm like connecting with him with my eyes closed because I would see lights and symbols, and I'm like, I think I can quit smoking. I think I can stop drinking. I think I can go off these pharmaceuticals. I think I can heal this depression that I'm, this anxiety. And he was like, no. That's where I draw the line. For quitting the job, that was enough. Dead brothers, no. You think you can go, so anyway, he's like divorce city. And after that, I was like, I've got so good at it. I wanted to start practicing animal communication, but the trainer wasn't having any of it. So I'm like, wake up one day, I'm moving to Maui. My husband's divorcing me, everything, I gotta go get myself healthy. There was a calling, I don't know. I moved to Maui, I spent 2 years there, and during those 2 years, I was meditating every night. I got my Reiki master. I was getting trained by animals, because I was still doing dog training. But the people I was working with were inviting me to offer them dog training, the clients. I mean, to offer them animal communication, so I was practicing that, kind of gifted. And then this is where it culminated. There's a little bit more about my story, and then I'll move on. I was living on this island of Maui, and I remember being on Craigslist. They would post animals there. I was doing a lot of rescue work. At one point, I had like 7 dogs that I was taking care of. It was really crazy. I lost everything while I was there because I did it in a ridiculous way. But I did this animal communication with this horse that I had never met. The person on Craigslist asked, can you connect with this horse? And we're looking for an animal communicator. I wrote her back. I never met her. And I was like, look, I'm practicing. I'm kind of good, but I don't really know if I'm any good at the same time. Like, I don't know what. I'll practice for free for you. She's like, great. I'm like, send me a picture, don't tell me anything. She sends me a picture of the horse. It's like a baby horse, the mom's face next to it. I can't see anything other than their faces. And I just keep hearing, like, while I'm looking at the picture, trying to connect with this horse. I don't even think I had the name at the time, because I wasn't smart enough to ask for the name, maybe. Just the picture. And I remember hearing over and over again, I'm stumped, I'm stumped, I'm stumped, I'm stumped. And I think that's mine. And I also kind of heard something like go below the knee, but I didn't get it because I only had the face. Go below the knee. I wrote back to her, this woman, and I'm like, look, I don't know. All I keep hearing in my head is I'm stumped, go below the knee. I don't know if that's helpful. She writes back and she's like, Lori, this horse's knee has been amputated below the knee. You're getting something. Can you please try again? So I'm like, great, okay, I'll try again. Don't tell me anything, of course. She already knew that from the first time. So I go back to the horse and I hear, there's bad people around me, they want to kill me. I tell them to go away, I want to live. And oh, by the way, couldn't you get me some more carrots? So I go back and I tell her that, and she says, that's exactly right. We didn't know if we should euthanize this horse. That's exactly what we needed to know. It's a baby. So we're gonna buy a prosthetic, we're gonna fit this prosthetic. That's when I knew I was communicating. And after that, it just took off. So, yeah, I did the Reiki and I was practicing animal communication for 2 years. Incredible stories. I just can't even begin, I can tell you. But nonetheless, after that, it wasn't until 2 years later I started taking some classes just to see, maybe I should get trained. But by that time I was like, I could teach it better than this. And that's what happened. So, okay, I'll just say one last thing about Maui, or two last things. I had an induction experience while I was there, star family, extraterrestrial. I'll talk about that more tomorrow. But that transformed a lot for me too. And the only other thing is, at the end of the 2 years, I had a dog that I had rescued while I was living in LA. Her name was Kenya, and she became a huge teacher for me. And I would hear her all the time in my head. Can you do this? Can you do that? Kenya? Kenya? And I later learned, like, that she picked her name. We learned this. We all pick our names before we incarnate. Our animals do too. And she stayed with me during those 2 years. At the end of the 2 years, I was so exhausted, drained, wiped out, depleted, because I lost everything. But the debt was gone, the cigarettes were gone, the alcohol was gone, the excessive caffeine was gone, the excessive weight was gone. I got letters from banks saying, we forgive your debt. Because I was following the guidance to practice forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Debt is a lack of forgiveness. And we don't always know that. We don't realize that. Mm-hmm. I was doing everything I was told. So everything was washed clean slate. But after that, I held my dog in my arms when she crossed. I saw the light leave her body, Kenya. I saw my other dog stand up on all four legs, looking at this light leaving her body. But that was it. I was on my knees after that because I wasn't going to live through that. I didn't want to live through that. And I remember I was done. And at that point, my father was like, okay, we'll help you. But during those 2 years, they weren't helping me. They were actually causing the worst pain. Like, they were screaming at me, go get a job. You know, after that, I went home. That's when I basically started what I call my business now. But it was God. Now God is my boss. Mm-hmm. So, all right, that's where everything's coming. That's kind of my story. In a snapshot. So, all right, so let's talk about animal communication, what it is and how it works, and why we can all do it. So first, I want to ask, is there anyone in the room who's a skeptic about whether it's real? Okay, you're probably not in this room if you're a skeptic. Is there anyone in this room who doubts whether or not you can do it? All right, that's good. So this part is especially for you, because what I'm going to first give you is the scientific evidence why it's real, because it's based on our bodies. And in that sense, once you realize you have everything everyone else has, there's nothing that stops you from doing it except maybe belief systems, beliefs in your mind that think you can't, and therefore your beliefs have power, right? But you can change a belief because belief's not absolutely true, right? All right, first, how does it work? Number one, what is telepathy? What's telepathy? Yes, brain-to-brain communication. So we could have telepathy between us, and if we're talking to an animal, we can have telepathy, brain-to-brain, exchange of information. Animal communication encompasses telepathy, but there's other forms of animal communication too. So what are some other forms of animal communication besides telepathy?
Touch.
Body language, right. Now that's based in the physical. So we've been exchanging information physically in our world. Body language is one. So this is like one form, this is another form, wagging tails, rolling on the belly, that's all forms of body language. But that's not necessarily, that's a traditional form of communication that's based in our physical world. So when we're talking about now more esoteric spiritual, right? Metaphysical, which we can still include that as a form of it. What are some of the other forms of animal communication?
This could be for everyone, maybe, but does anyone ever go like, I know. You don't really know what you're saying, but you're saying, I know, baby,
Yeah.
I know. Somewhere I'm knowing what
Yes.
I
Yes,
know,
that
it's
is a
okay,
form.
I know.
That's like a form of, you could call that knowing, direct knowing, which what would we call direct knowing? Intuition is a form of that. It's a form of that. It's claircognizance, when we just know. We could call that claircognition. So also it's a form of energy. Somehow you just right? An energy exchange. But let's talk about some other kinds of animal communication. What is our heart? What does our heart do? Yes, our heart is magnetic.
Right.
So if I send you love through my heart center, and I know I'm dropping into love, and I actually send you some love, now you may, in a moment of receiving that, you may even actually be conscious of it in a way. You might feel like, wow, this person's kind and loving. You might notice yourself feeling it. Depends on how conscious you are. But actually, I just sent you some love. Did you notice any? Slight? Just a little slight? Maybe not. But the animals, they know it. They know it because they're very conscious of it. So the heart, I'm going to get you, just give me a second. Heart center's magnetic. So what I'm saying is animal communication can be heart to heart, can be brain to brain, can be heart to brain. I can send the feeling of information to their brain, or it can be brain to heart. So heart to brain to heart, brain to brain, heart to heart. Just like sending and receiving in both ways. They can do that. That is all forms of animal communication. Telepathy is exclusively brain to brain, a form of animal communication. Do we understand so far? Everyone
Yes.
with me?
Yeah.
One more form, then I'm going to take your question or whatever, your comment.
I did spell it right, didn't I?
What is our skin? Yes.
Receptors.
But now here, who has not gotten, or who has, either way, goose pimples?
Yeah.
Goose-
Yeah.
Ooh, goosebumps. That's a form of energetic communication. And an animal could project some form of elevated energy that I could, if I'm sensory, receive and identify. If I'm paying attention, if I'm conscious. See, the thing is, most of us, we're not conscious. We're not paying attention. We're not open to receiving. A lot of, in our reality, we block it out because we don't even believe it's real. That's just woo-woo stuff, right? But certainly most mainstreamers, they do that if they're not into this stuff. So, but nonetheless, there is real scientific documentation from the Institute of Heart Math that they study. Yes, they're studying. They actually put nodes on the skin. In some tests, they play music silently, and people in the studies are able to identify songs through the skin without hearing. That means the skin is a receptor. The skin is a processor. And it's taking information, and the body's translating it, and then the brain can identify it. Make sense? So these are all forms of animal communication, because of course the animals have that, and so do we. So far, can everyone agree that you have the ability, so far, just based so far, even if you still have your doubts or disbelief or skepticism, that you have a brain, you have a heart, and you have skin.
Yes.
And that you have the ability, we all have the ability so far to use these organs, they're all organs, in ways that we maybe have not been trained yet to use. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go to the brain, to two parts of the brain and the magnetics and the electric. But you had something, you raised your hand?
I was just saying, I have two Siamese cats, and in the way that I know their personalities, their essence,
Yes.
and their energy.
Yes.
That's how I
Yes.
communicate with them.
Yes. You're already doing it. The question is always, how skilled are we at it? How confident are we at what we do? And how able are we to translate? Because in truth, I'm a translator. If I can use the word animal communicator, but I'm just a translator. They're giving me information. They're showing me a red ball. What does a red ball mean? Is it that the dog likes to go to play baseball? Is it that the ball is a bed that they sleep on? Is that what the red ball is? Is the red ball a huge chunk of anger that the parents can't? What does that red ball mean? You're showing me a red ball. What does that red ball mean? Okay, let's go back. We're still on the scientific part. So we know, by the way, on the heart center, let's say, the heart center, Institute of Heart Math has also tested. In fact, I've been tested by them. I've participated in some of their studies. And I've had heart nodes put on me, my brain and my heart, to measure how quickly I could rooms with other people meditating, get into heart coherence with them, which means coherence. What is heart coherence? Heart coherence is where, just like women who live together get into the same period cycle, we're in the same frequency, same energetic vibration, heart coherence. So they're studying the heart. And they also have scientifically documented, with real measurable scientific studies, that the heart has brain matter. That as we develop this heart center, we can use brain matter in the intelligence of the heart. And that is much like a muscle they have studied. That as we use it through meditative process where we get into heart coherence and we use the intelligence of our heart, so they take us and first they test us to see how quickly, then those of us who are really good at getting into heart resonance and holding heart resonance, were further studied. I was studied in additional studies to see not only how quickly, but how long I could hold it and how that affected our whole biorhythms of our body. They're studying all this, okay. Nonetheless, this is a magnetic energy. So we know that magnetics attract, receive, connect, just like magnets. We know scientifically, same heart center has done these studies too, through the brain. This one I wasn't involved in, but I know because I have been studying them, what they teach. The brain is electric. So we send out a thought, it's like an electrical, just like a cell phone tower, that electricity of this brain goes out. Those of us thinking beings, we're not paying attention. Where does this thought go? Where does it come from? Who picks up on it? But psychics are picking up on that, right? And they're tuning in. Different beings, I know she thinks that. I know he thinks that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, animals are just doing it with more awareness. Make sense? So we're all electrical senders and receivers, and we're all magnetic senders and receivers. We just, in our reality, haven't developed it. But animals are sitting at home, ho-hum. I don't have to go to work. I don't have to pay my bills. They're not even thinking that. They don't have to get along with their mother-in-law. They don't have to figure out their taxes. They don't have any of that. So what are they going to do with their brains and their hearts and their receptor sites? They're being able to develop them in a way that we are not. So we're not developing these. What are we doing? Yeah, when we're paying our bills, when we're going to school, when we're studying, when we're making lists, when we're going to grocery shopping.
Our ego state.
Okay, we like to call it, in the spiritual realm, we like to call it our ego state, and that is true. But let's stay with the science part.
Left
Not that
brain.
that's not science, because it is, right? Freud studied the ego,
Right.
and they gave us that name.
That's a left brain.
That's exactly right.
The logic, the
The logic
analytical,
thinking brain.
The left
So our society has been trained and our culture has been ingrained to use mostly our left brain. What is it when schools take out dance, take out music, take out anything that's not synchronized movement, take out artists? They're eliminating, I will say on purpose, because I like to put my little jabs in, that we become conscious. It's very purposeful to eliminate that right brain that knows, a sensory brain that just doesn't do things in a left logical brain. So this is doing huge damage to humanity because we're so off balance now. And then you get this polarized world of we don't know how to function anymore because we're so off balance. This is the only part of our consciousness we're using, this left brain, which we call often the ego. So this left brain, thinking, doing, figuring it out, making lists, thinks we won't know it if we don't remember. Skeptic lives here. Of course the skeptic lives here. Why? Because the left brain is trying to figure out what the right brain already knows. The right brain already knows. And when we start really using more of that right brain, that's why you don't see any lists, any notes. I know exactly what needs to be said. It comes to me through my higher consciousness and source connection, and animals come in. I don't have to remember any of this. And everything I do is like that now because it's always source. What do you want to bring through? What do the animals want to bring through? Because I'm already in that state where I can trust that my right brain and my connection with my heart center and my service is sincere. What's meant to come through comes through. And we all have this. We just haven't been using it. So it's trained out of us from school, memorizing, we don't even know where in the brain memory is stored. That's why memorizing is so hard, because there's no memory center of the brain in that sense. Okay, left brain, right brain. Right brain's the intuitive awareness brain. So animals, all animals, they already have these equally developed, equal balance for the most part. So they know what we're trying to figure out. Okay, now, we talked about the heart center, so the majority of people are not really even in our heart center. You know when you're around somebody who says they love you, but you don't feel loved by them? It's not, you know they love you the best way they can. They tell you they love you. They might even do loving acts. They might take you out to dinner but you don't feel necessarily. Not that you don't, you just, they're not in their heart center. You've hugged people like that. And they don't look, you know the difference when you hug someone heart to heart? Okay, this is, the mass of humanity is still not in their heart center. And when we're trying to figure out our way through things, through life, and we're not in our heart center, because the heart really does know. The right brain really does know. All right, so we can agree. Animals already got this. We're developing it and learning it. Make sense? Now let's talk about the brain waves, because this is really important. There's 5 brain waves that we know of right now. The mass percentage of humanity, the bulk of humanity, is only using 2 brain waves most of the time. So what's the sleep brain wave? Delta. We all do that. We all sleep. Animals sleep. They use the delta brainwave. When we're sleeping, we're sleeping. We're in the delta brainwave. And even the REM state, rapid eye movement, dreaming, that's delta brainwave. So the brain's very slow, but it speeds up when we dream because there's brain activity going on. Okay, what is it when we're left analytical brain, ego brain, as we call it, making lists, doing? What brain wave is that? Beta. Beta. Active, alert, engaged. You're driving. Don't drive under the influence because you're no longer in a beta. Okay? Brainwave. Beta brainwave. Don't drive while you're meditating because then you're not in a beta. Okay, so when you're lightly meditating, for people who meditate, they are using a third brainwave. What's the third one? Alpha. Now, what's the job of the alpha brainwave? What does the alpha brainwave do when you meditate? You guys know this. What does it do?
I don't know, I say connection to God. It helps you open up your communication through the pineal.
Yeah, it does,
to the voice
exactly.
of God,
But
right?
actually, the alpha brainwave only has one job. It does do that naturally because you become more aligned.
Right.
So it does do that. But in truth, the frequency of the alpha brainwave, the range of that frequency, it's a very wide bandwidth. So it's very hazy in a sense, because you're hazy. You're like, did I just see an angel? Did I hear? I don't know if I did. It's very hazy brainwave, but it only has one job, and the job is to simply say, yes. It says, all is well. And that's why when you meditate, you feel better. Yes, all is well. And what it does, this is why meditation is so good, it restores the body to homeostasis. Because the body's getting a message. Yes, all is well. And even when you hear someone say yes, you feel a little better, right? When someone says no, 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 you don't feel so good, right? That's a left brain, jarring. Alpha brainwave, yes. Now what it does is it takes whatever's in the field of its range and it will deposit it into the unconscious most of the time, unless you're conscious. So the average person who doesn't meditate using the upper part, have you ever seen that ice cube, the ice cube image where 10% of the brain is conscious above water? Those big massive, those pictures of ice cube, icebergs, sorry. And the lower 90% is under the water, and this is the representation of the average human brain if we're not meditating. 10% is conscious, 90% is unconscious. Make sense? So we go into a meditative state, alpha brainwave, body starts balancing, whatever's in the field, it kind of just Alpha brainwave does not process things. It just restores you to balance, says yes, thank you, basically, takes everything from the conscious and puts it in the unconscious. Now think about this for a second. This is how humans who are not meditating, this is what they do to try to restore themselves to balance and have peace. What do? What do?
Take drugs.
I'm saying they, but it's all of us.
Alcohol, whatever.
Drink.
No, but even in a way more detrimental than that, in a way. They watch
Always
TV.
thinking.
Right.
They get brainwashed. I'm saying they, but I mean us. So we sit in front of the TV and we zone,
Oh, yeah.
and we're getting into an alpha brainwave. And in that alpha brainwave state, advertisers know this, they know. Advertisers, they, us. They make suggestions, they show you pictures of beautiful skies and pretty, green grasses and happy cows. And they tell you to drink milk. And even worse, they tell you to get Claritin Clear and take a pill and everything will be okay. And your brainwave, yes. And then they show you pictures of people being harmed and they tell you that you need a government. Sorry, I'm just making suggestions here to help us wake up. I use my platform. And, they tell you basically you need guns or you don't need, and they put you in debate and conquer. I call this argument debate. Polarize. And you're in this state. The average person doesn't have discernment. They don't know. So they just believe it and they take it in and it goes into the unconscious mind and it becomes true and real and right for them. Do you have mesothelioma? Ask your doctor if you should have this pill.
Oh.
Go check with your doctor. Tell your doctor if you have signs of, and 50 million things are listed. I mean, we all have signs of those things. If you have memory loss, and you're an alpha, and then some part of you is like, do I have memory loss? I've had those things. Okay, this is massive brainwashing of humanity. And it's even worse with the news. People actually believe that the news is true and real. And I can tell you it's all fabricated, all of it. But you don't really know that until you start connecting with the non-physical realm. All right, that's enough of that. So now, those are the 4 brainwaves, 3 brainwaves most people are using. Now, when we get into this esoteric stuff, and we're practicing telepathy, it's a whole other brainwave. So what is the brainwave for telepathy? Theta.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you learn from most animal communicators, in fact, I've had countless people come to my animal communication and telepathy classes and say, I've taken 3 classes. I still don't know how to communicate with animals. And I say, well, how did you learn? Tell me what you learned, like in 30 seconds or less. Well, I learned to go into, this is what they all say, I learned to go into a meditation and listen and hear and watch what the animal has to share. And I'm like, yeah, you're in an alpha brainwave. It's a hazy brainwave. You don't have any ability to have a conversation in an alpha brainwave. You're not in an alpha brainwave. Sits there, receives, says yes. Hazy. I don't know what I'm getting. I'm just open. That's why they're not good animal communicators, because they haven't learned how to access the theta brainwave. The majority of animal communicator teachers are teaching animal communication from an alpha brainwave state. They themselves, half the time, don't know how to even get into theta. I took so many classes. I already knew how to get into a theta. And I thought, this is crazy what they're teaching. It's not effective animal communication. And that's why most people don't think that they're doing it very well. Theta brainwave is a brainwave of telepathy. Theta brainwave is also the brainwave that a good psychic, a real good psychic, is accessing. Because at that frequency, you can communicate with angels. You can communicate with dead people, so to speak. They're not dead. You can communicate with ghosts. You can communicate with beings who exist in the non-physical realm. Archangels, angels, ascended masters, Jesus, Yeshua, Mother Mary. They're all communicating at that frequency because they know that's the frequency we have to vibe into in order to connect with them. They want to communicate with us. They are angels. They are real. They're aspects of us. They're aspects of divine source, creator, God, of all that is, however we lovingly connect with that source. But until we learn how to access that frequency, which is a very pure, extremely pure frequency. It is not a frequency where I'm like in pain or suffering or crying or wounded. No, it's a pure frequency. Very clear telepathic communication happens there. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me just say real quick, the fifth brainwave, what is it?
Gamma.
Gamma. Gamma brainwave is also a very pure frequency. In fact, it's so pure, it's focused intent. I can affect something that I'm not touching. So, spoon bending trick? Anyone see that ever?
Yes.
Okay, a real spoon bender is he, she is using a gamma brainwave. And in fact, the government has done many, many tests to use gamma brainwaves as a tool to potentially use for harm. They're not really so able to do it, but did anyone ever see the movie Men Who Stare at Goats
Yes.
with George Clooney? And George Clooney was being used to get into a brainwave to kill a goat, stare at a goat, and because that's real, true government tests. And if you notice at the very beginning of that movie, George Clooney's narrating and he says, some of this is true, truer than you think. So, okay, I don't mean to make our government bad because our government is made up of human beings doing their best, but you know, at the very highest echelons, it's not all that nice, you know? Okay, so, and sometimes it's used to harm. Yeah.
So do dogs use gamma?
In my experience, that's not necessarily something they're doing because number one, it does require a kind of focused intention and training. Doesn't serve their purpose. And actually, I never really directly asked them, but what I was always told is to have telepathy with us, just communicate on a theta frequency. So,
I knew one long-haired dachshund who could cause a can of tuna to fall off.
then in that case, I'm sure he
I've only ever
was.
seen it once.
Yes.
They
They have that
People don't
ability.
believe me when I tell them that.
Yeah. Well, now you can say he knew how to
I
access
would ask him
the
to
gamma
do chocolate
brainwave.
instead
No,
of
he would
tuna.
only do it with tuna.
Because it's really a purposeful brainwave, you know?
Okay.
Okay, but can we all agree then, even if you don't believe you have the ability to communicate with animals before you walked into this room, can you understand that you have the ability to access those brainwaves and that those brainwaves, I'm giving you fact as I know fact. I mean, you can go do the research yourself, but you came here to learn. You can do all the research you want, but you have the ability to access the theta brainwave if you learn how and are properly trained. Can we all agree?
Yes.
And therefore, from that state, and not only do you have that, you have the ability to build heart muscle, and you have the ability to tune in, with practice, of course, to these extrasensory kinds of talents. That means, therefore, you can communicate with animals telepathically. Okay, good.
May I say something? And I said that I'm a skeptic, but I do have a dog, Coco, and so she has to sit before I feed her. And so I just look at her, and she sits, and she shakes me. I
She's
protect
telepathic.
and kiss.
She knows what you want.
Yeah.
Right. I always say, our animals know our secrets, because they're telepathic. They're entirely telepathic. And, okay, I do need to say that. I'm being told something I forgot, but I'll say it exactly. But this is the thing, they know our secrets, they live with us, they're picking up on our thoughts and our emotions. We'll talk about that more as we go, but, of course. So, okay, so, I want to just pause for a moment so I can remember this divine mission. Okay, divine mission. So there's one other part of this scientific aspect we need to say that I didn't say yet, that I was reminded. In this center of our brain, kind of back here, but here, we have two master glands. What are those called? Pituitary and the pineal gland. So these are known as master glands, and they actually sit inside of a protective shell, which is known as a cave of Brahman. That's real, and that's scientific fact. Those two master glands are extrasensory glands. But the thing is that if you're not using them, they calcify. So the vast majority of people on planet Earth who are not using them, they have calcified. And there are certain things that actually increase the calcification. Does anyone have any idea what those? By the way, what do spiritualists call it? Third eye. Ooh, third eye. Okay, well, you say potato, I say potato. It's real. You can call it master glands. You can call it It's real. Okay, but it does calcify. So what calcifies it? Sugar.
Brain trauma.
Water,
Sugar,
toothpaste.
fluoride, fluoride's in all the water. Everything you eat that has been made with water, fluoride.
GMOs.
GMOs,
Nothing
genetically
food.
modified foods. Now, almost every food in the United States, we have to be, unless we're buying organic, we cannot be sure that it's not genetically modified. We don't even know because Monsanto, the company that makes genetically modified foods, is brainwashing people because they have so much money. They're telling people it's okay, it's normal, it will help feed
Right.
people.
Right.
But really what it's doing, it's designed to do on purpose is to calcify the third eye, the pineal gland. So because it's known that people are dumb and stupid and easily controllable, easily manipulative. Well, that's a question. So, okay, I'm blaming Monsanto because again, I use my platform to share
Big
and enlighten.
pharma.
What's that?
Big
Big
pharma.
pharma. What else closes it down? Pharmaceutical
Synthetic.
drugs.
Yeah, synthetic drugs.
Synthetic drugs. So the synthetic drug industry is what I call a slow kill tactic. It's deliberate. Slow kill. Slowly kills people. Shuts them down. Shuts down all their working facilities. Calcifies the brain. The fluoride, by the way, was tested. The way they discovered that fluoride was a neurotoxin was in World War II,
Nazi.
Hitler's Nazi. Yes, they tested it on the death camp people to make sure they could make them docile. So the thing that humans are told is that it cleans the teeth, but actually there's no scientific evidence that we really know of whatsoever except that which is manipulated studies that fluoride cleans the teeth at all. It doesn't. In fact, I haven't used any fluoride for over 10 years I haven't brushed my teeth with toothpaste for over 10 years. I use essential oils and sometimes baking soda with coconut oil. I recommend all of you do that too, and I would also recommend you start cleaning your animal's teeth if you can with coconut oil. Just put some on your finger, and if you can get it in there, or a washcloth, to the best of your ability, get it. They like the taste of it, and it's antibacterial and antifungal. Okay, so these are all the things that calcify. Pharmaceutical drugs, fluoride in the water, artificial sweeteners. By the way, who owns all the artificial sweetener companies? Nope. Donald Rumsfeld, former chief of staff. So this is also, it is a real conspiracy. There's a reason it's free everywhere. Makes people dumb and stupid, calcifies the third eye. Artificial sweeteners, diet sodas, sugar, which is in everything. Go start reading labels on those in the grocery store. There's almost nothing without sugar. And sugar is processed the same way, by the way, that cocaine, heroin, all those massive opiate addictions are processed, addictive products. Sugar is the only food that is processed that way, and everything that's an opiate addiction, those white powdery, they're all processed the same way as sugar. It's highly addictive, and it also calcifies. Okay, so all these things calcify the brain. Here's the good news. I mean, it's really easy to decalcify.
Yes.
Really easy. How do we decalcify it?
Stop doing it.
Yes, eliminate those things from the diet as quickly as we can, and meditation.
Meditate, yeah.
Third eye activations. Did anyone ever tell you they were going to give you third eye activation? Yeah, I mean, I do them for people all the time. I've been, in my earlier days, people used to charge like $250 just to get a 1 hour third eye activation, activation. I do it in 5 minutes for people just when they're in my classes. But the more you meditate, especially with focused intent to clean that out, and when you know how to do it, it's effortless. So there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just to be aware of, because we can't fix it if we don't know, right?
Right.
So, but can we all agree every human being and every animal has a third eye? This is scientific fact. Therefore, you have a third eye, pineal gland, pituitary gland, master glands, and if you decalcify them, therefore that's going to open up your extrasensory abilities too. And as you learn to practice them and use them and apply them with discernment, knowledge, and wisdom, you too can be psychic and an animal communicator. Can we all agree?
Yes.
Do I have any skeptics left in the room that it's possible for you? It is possible for you to be an animal communicator. Anyone? Okay, good. So we got over that hurdle, right? Not even a big one to get over. So I love to play that game because I think it's fun, It's like now, like the skeptics in the room, they always start to be like, okay, this chick, she kind of knows what she's saying a little. Like, maybe I was missing it. Like, okay, because she's talking my language, right? Right?
Right.
Right? Okay, I always know who the skeptics are even before I walk in the room, really. But anyhow, okay, so good. So, all right, so our animal's already doing this.
Have a
What?
bullseye around my head or something?
I just know. I'm
Just
really
read
super
your
psychic.
energy, it's easy.
I'm just really super psychic. I hear it in my head. That's the one. Those are the one. And then I kind of will cater to them a little bit to try to help them through it. But sometimes their walls go up like, me? Why are you talking to me? But then, you know, it's all good. So, okay, so those are the tools. Now, the key with animal communication then becomes practicing and developing, because if you think about translators, if you work at the UN, if you're a person who is translating for the French embassy, or you go to the UN and you're the one who translates Russian to English or any other, you're tested over and over and over again. You're tested. You have to pass tests. You have to do it exactly, precisely. You're not actually even allowed to add any of your own personal interpretation. And even if you do, you have to say, sidebar, I'm just adding some extra to help you, because they don't. You have to translate that precisely too. In fact, it's a science of its own, how to translate. But the thing is that we're not advanced enough as a society to actually test, critique, study precisely, and make it communicate. That's where we have to self-monitor, self-regulate, and this is the hardest part of being an animal communicator and also of being a psychic. Because psychics are using exactly the same thing. They really are. We're using that third eye, we're using that frequency, we're using the heart center, we're using the skin, we're using our clairs, which I'll talk about that now. But in formal translation, you know you're right. You have somebody sitting there saying, yes, you're right, you passed the test. Oh yes, that hand signal means I love you. That hand signal means on and on and on. This, you know, this means come this way. This, you know, it's like, okay, you get to be confident because you had somebody teaching you and telling you. But we have to learn in our own way, in a way. We have to start developing, oh, when I get a thumbs up in my mind, that means it's right. When I see a big red X, that means no. When I see a red ball, like, did anyone ever see John Edwards on TV when he used to have that show? And he would say, they're showing me roses. Whenever I get roses, that's a sign of love. Because someone else, to roses, it could mean a thorny path. But we have that translation, so that's a good example. He knows what that means. You, as a communicator, whether it's psychic, communicating with angels or animals, you're learning a language that's not necessarily universal. Some aspects of it might be, but overall, it's not. And for example, a cow, if I get a cow and I'm in India, if I'm like psychically get an image of a cow, to India, that's a sacred animal. But to us, it might just mean, oh, the animal wants some milk. What does a cow mean? So there's cultural aspects of a translate. We're translating. That is the hard part. That is what takes years of practice, in my opinion. But first doing it, you can learn it, and hopefully tonight you'll get a sense of it. That makes sense so far?
Yes.
All right, good. I want to talk about the 5 clairs. But before I even go into the 5 clairs, what is the divine mission of animals? Does anyone know? What is the divine mission of animals?
I think unconditional love, to teach us.
Unconditional love, yes. And you said to teach us. To teach us. That is a divine mission, to teach us. We, in our massive ego, overdevelopment, thinking because we have the ability to speak and the ability to manipulate objects with our hands, we think we're superior to them. It's just so funny, right? But they are actually teaching us. So that's one, yes. And unconditional love, we could say that. That's an aspect of what they're teaching us. But that's definitely one, to teach us. What's another divine mission of animals?
Live in the moment.
Well, that's a lesson of what they're teaching us. That's part of what they're teaching us. What else?
I think they bring joy to Earth.
Yes. Okay. So you could call that a kind of energy. That's an energetic vibration that they are doing. And to me, the way I would translate is, because joy is an energy, right? We'll get more into energy as we go, but I would say that what they're doing is healing. They're healing us by that energetic frequency range that they hold. So for example, if you look at the whales and the dolphins in the waters, I mean, I've said this a million times, and I know I'm not the only one, they are using the energy of love and joy, echolocation, high pitch. I mean, if you ever heard it, I have led dolphin swims where we have been like amazing experiences with dolphins. And they hold this, and their high-pitched echo, it's so joyful. And the whale songs are songs of love. And we know scientifically that a song of a whale, a humpback whale, can be heard on the other side of the planet. They can track the vibration and the song, and that whales can be picked up by certain microphones. Scientists have picked it up, but also whales on the other side of the planet are picking it up. Isn't that amazing? So what they're doing essentially is healing the waters. Why? Because the frequency, the vibration, the energy of their joy, of their love, is elevating the frequencies of the waters. So they're using energy in a way that's conscious as healers. They are healers. That's a divine mission of all animals. They are healers, whether they're healing the water, whether they're healing the earth. For example, pachyderms, elephants, all animals have a divine mission, but and each subgroup of the animal kingdom has a unique mission, unique to them. For example, whales and dolphins in charge of the waters. Manatees also do nurturing of the waters. They clean sediment, they clean the earth, and they mother the waters. They bring mothering to the ultimate mother. Waters. Earth is the ultimate mother, but they do it on the bottom dwellers, right? Okay, so all animals are healers, even if they're not with humans, but our animal companions directly heal us. And that is a divine mission that all animals have. So our animal companions are working with our energy, our body, to heal us. And that is part of their mission, sacred mission on the planet. They know it. Okay, maybe Fido isn't completely conscious. I'm healing my mother. Because, depending on what human you talk to, maybe they're more conscious. Like what I call 3D humans, who just watch TV, drink beer every night, and go to football games, and don't ever meditate, or don't contemplate, or don't necessarily pray, or aren't necessarily having a spiritual conscious connect. They're less conscious. We're not judging them. We're just being conscious. We're just being aware of what is. And those people, if you talk to them and you say, hey, do you remember that your grandmother, asked you to be kind when you were a little child? Oh yeah, forgot about that. Maybe he's just not conscious. It's okay, we're not judging. So some animals maybe aren't as conscious that they're healing their humans. Those animals tend to get matched up with humans who are less conscious. But the animals who are really conscious, they tend to get matched up with humans who are really conscious. So, and they know that they're healing their human. Okay, there's 1/3 mission of animals.
Companionship?
Yeah. I mean, they're just having experiences, just like we are. Like, what's our mission? We're all like, what's our mission? Well, to be human, to have an experience, to expand Creator's experience for Creator. We're having an experience, and we don't always realize, actually, we're choosing our experiences, either conscious. So if you're paying attention to war and fighting on the TV every night, you're actually lining yourself up with an experience that's involving more war in your life, more fighting, more aggression. You watch aggression on TV, blood, guts, gore, shooting, fighting, you're lining yourself up to have that kind of experience more in your life, fear-based experiences. Whereas if you're going to spiritual centers every night and you're giving and exchanging kindness and love and reciprocity and you're donating, you're lining yourself up for different kinds of experiences. If you're watching love stories on Hallmark Channel every night, you're more likely to have similar kinds of cookie dough experiences. It's all good, right? But we don't think that those things are influencing us. But they are. And we are creating based on those kinds. Okay, so are animals. They're having experiences just like we are. And they're just a little more conscious about what they choose, depending on their own unique soul's mission. Because they have souls. They are sentient beings. Does this make sense to everybody? Okay,
Yes.
Comments, questions?
So, it's really sad to me that there are some organized religions that believe that animals don't have souls, because they do, clearly.
Yes.
And the other thing is, so if the animal, it does it really matter if they are conscious of that they're healing us? It's just who they are, right?
Yes.
It's just their beingness. So
Yes.
the level of their participation in that, is that important?
It's extremely important because why? Here's why. Because part of what they're teaching us is a universal language of love, which is a language of energy. And this is why I really invite you to come back tomorrow night. It's a totally different topic. We are shifting as from a society that is entirely physical to a society that is energetically conscious. This is a major mission of the animals at this time. So when you say, does it matter? It does, because energy is what we're meant to learn how to use. That is the future of our existence. If we're not energetically conscious, I have to explain more of that tomorrow night.
Okay.
But it's incredibly important. And it's
Okay.
also important for animal communicators to understand, because this is something I have heard countless times from animal communicators, even people who are professional. And I was saying this to Carolina the other night. I told him not to do it, and he doesn't want to do it. And they don't understand the energetics involved. You can't just, if I tell you don't smoke and you're a smoker, it doesn't matter if I tell you, because if you're energetically addicted to smoking or there's some addiction programming, it doesn't matter what I tell you. So we as animal communicators, just because we tell an animal something doesn't necessarily mean he can listen or he's going to, that's enough, because there's energetics involved. And we have to understand the energy to be effective animal communicators too. That's a whole aspect of it we haven't gotten to yet. But so this will make more sense as we go on. But it does, and that's a brilliant observation on your part. So, all right, so before we get to the energy and the language of energy, we understand the mission. This is really important, because humans a lot of times will say things like, don't heal me of it. I don't want you to heal me of it. And then we don't understand the energy. We'll come back to that. Let's first go to the 5. I call them 5, but it's really 4, the sentience. What do I mean when I say the 4 sentience? Clairsentient. What is clairsentience? That's the one that I always... Sensing. So let's table that one, because that's the most complicated one that has really more than 1 in there. That's why I always say 5.
Clairvoyance.
What is clairvoyance? What's clairvoyance? Seeing.
Yeah.
Clear seeing.
Yeah.
So now,
Clairaudience.
what part,
Clairaudience.
before we go to the other clairs, what is clair seeing? What are we using?
Third eye.
The third eye. What's the third eye? Pineal gland, pituitary gland.
Right.
So you become clairvoyance when you develop that. Clairvoyance means I'm seeing. So my eyes aren't closed because aren't open because my brain is what's seeing. And if you've ever had a good psychic reading, or even a not so good one, they're usually not looking at you because they can't use their eyes to focus. They're looking through their brain. A lot of times when I'm doing stuff, I'm like zoning, because it's all going on from within third eye. So that's clairvoyance. Now clairvoyance, an animal could show you an image. I could see an image of a red ball, or I could get an image of a flower, and if you think about it, if I ask an animal, if an animal's sitting right there and I ask him, what are you seeing? I might get an image of a TV, but he might not call it a TV because he doesn't necessarily know that word. He might not have learned that word. But I see that and I'm like, I see this black screen. I'm the translator. I think it's a TV. Is that a TV? Now I might have an angel come in and help me if I'm really good. That's a TV. Yeah, he doesn't know that's a TV. Depending on the level of consciousness. Does this make sense? Clairvoyance. Okay, and I can also send an image to an animal, like an image that's meaningful to the animal. If I'm good at, if I've developed that, I can send the image of an animal like, okay, we're going to go to the beach tonight. See the beach? We're going to do that soon. I promise you. And, combining with other things, or other images. Make sense? Okay, clairvoyance. All right, what's the next clair?
Clairaudience.
Clairaudience. What's clairaudience?
Hearing.
Hearing. So, what part of our brain is hearing? Third eye.
Pituitary.
Master glands. In fact, even in the physical world, this is the ridiculousness of humans, all of us, okay? I'm not being critical, it might sound that way, I just think it's funny. Because now I have a different perspective now. We think that our ears hear. Do you believe that your ears hear? I mean, we're taught that your ears hear. But it's never your ears. Your ears don't hear. Your ears are just canals to the brain. So they're taking in a vibration, it's going to the brain, and the brain is making sense of it. The right brain knows, oh, that's a vibration. The nervous system sends some information to the left brain, and the left brain identifies, oh, crazy lady voice. Whatever, right? Same thing with seeing. Do you think your eyes see? Who thinks your eyes see? We're taught that our eyes see, but our eyes don't see, they're just lenses. So they're taking in light, and they're filtering, and there's optics, and then there's a nerve back in there, the back of the eye socket, and that nerve then carries information to the brain. The brain has an experience of some range of light. Oh, filters of light. Oh, goes over to the left brain, pale yellow. Labels it. But it's never the eyes that see. The brain sees. So, in fact, when people are blind, in reality, something here, okay, maybe the optic nerve is somehow, or something in the lenses is, but really, if they got a pineal gland, pituitary gland activation, and if they healed and resolved certain belief systems and points of view, certain aspects, cleared certain energy, their eyesight could be restored. Of course, over here, in this la-la land that is called reality, that's not possible, because, I don't know, science doesn't believe it, or maybe they don't want us to know, or whatever, who knows. Okay, but same for hearing. If you can't hear, there's just some kind of blockages in there. Energy healers will say you've got a block. I would say you have some belief systems in there. Maybe you're tuning things out. Maybe you don't want to hear something. We have to clear that, heal it, resolve it, open up that channel to hear, open up the pineal pituitary, and suddenly, who knows, you could hear again, or at least something. Does this make sense? Okay, Claire, audience. Okay, so we're tabling clairsentience. So what's the other Claire? We said it before in the room. Claircognizance. What's claircognizance? Someone said it over here. Knowing. So how does knowing happen? I'm in a theta brainwave state, and this animal, maybe he doesn't really know how to communicate in words necessarily. Maybe he hasn't had a lot of words spoken. Maybe he's an animal in the wild, doesn't necessarily speak a lot of English words. Or maybe he's an animal who's lived in France, and we don't speak the same language, but some part of his knowing, his consciousness is like, I can just dump this information into her consciousness and let her make sense of it. Just let me just dump it. Or maybe somehow you're working also with angels to help you, or a divine source, as I do, or other benevolent beings, or even the person's own high self, and they somehow work together. You don't know. But this information comes into your knowing.
Downloading.
It's a download. And it could be an upload. You could call it an upload because it comes from within you too. Because you're an aspect of creator. You've got access to the creator. Nonetheless, however you define it, there's just this knowing. I don't really know how I know, and so I have a knowing. Does anyone know Doreen Virtue?
Yes.
And she recently exited her whole experience as an angel person. We love Doreen Virtue. We wish her well. I love Doreen Virtue, but she's decided that she's a born-again Christian, and she only will listen to Jesus from this point forward. And Hay House has dropped her. This is all public knowledge. When I tuned in about it, I heard that this is her working through a past life thing where, I'm only saying because she's public. She's so public, and she's saying she has no secrets. And I got a whole story on what happened to her in another lifetime, and that this is part of her karma, so to speak, to work through this, and this is her time. Now, I have no factual information on that, but somehow I know. I know. But I'm also super psychic. So, but I can't say that's true, but I can say, I know, but I don't know. And we don't know when we get these clear knowings, but we know. And we have to kind of be in that state of humility, because we can't mandate it as true. We can't factually say it's true, but we can say, I have a clear knowing on it, but I also know that I don't really absolutely know, and yet I know. So take it for what it's worth, kind of thing. Make sense? That's clear cognizance. And some psychics, I've had psychics I'll get you in a second. I've had a psychic once read for me, who I know she's what I call a 3D psychic, which to me is an old school psychic. I'm not old school. And she has said things to me like, no, I know it, and I have known she's wrong. But I know that she's picking up on something that was once true, real, and accurate, and she's picking up on a version of me that's no longer true. But she's so stuck on that field of her rightness that I could see, oh, she's attached to her rightness, so she can't see beyond it. My own psychic information, in my belief, surpassed hers, because I understood why she was getting that, and I wasn't saying she's wrong, I was saying there's a lot more, but she couldn't see past it. Nope, that's it. Nope, that's it. That's her clear knowing. But when we become our own blocks, we become a problem to our own selves. We get in the way as translators. That's clear knowing, though. That's part of us working with our own consciousness. Okay, what were you going to
That
ask?
was just so lovely because I've had, I was married to a vet. I worked with animals for
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
And I've had animals do this what we're talking about right now, and they need help.
Yes.
You know, like, I need help. And
Yes.
all of a sudden, there's just this knowing that there's this animal
Yes.
that needs help but when I've actually tried to communicate, I haven't been able to, but now I understand that I was working in alpha instead of in theta.
Yes.
And so that's a wonderful bit of information.
Yeah.
It really is.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
So, all right, so let's talk about the clairsentience, only because it has multiple aspects of clairsentience, and we've already really got into this. So, what's clairsentience? It could be skin, exactly. That's a form of clairsentience because you're using your extrasensory to notice, like, hot, you suddenly might feel hot, your skin might, your hair on your goosebumples. That's a form of clairsentience. So that's one of the clairsentience. What else is clairsentience? This is why I say it's more than one clair. More than
A feeling
yes. It's just a funny feeling. It could be a form of intuition. It's
You're sensing something.
gut.
Well, yeah.
We also know that the brain, by the way, that there's brain matter in the gut. Scientists have
You
validated.
have a
So
gut feeling.
you have a gut
Yeah.
feeling. That's a form of clairsentience. What else is clairsentience?
Or even uncomfortable.
Yes.
Nauseated.
Yeah, it could be any of that. Absolutely. Clairsentience could also be an emotion. Just the other day, a friend of mine who was on my radio show, I do a weekly radio show on the internet every Monday, and she was on the show, and her animal crossed, and I told her, I'll gift you a reading. I know she's a light worker, and light workers do so much. We do so much that we don't, I have to honor all the light workers, especially since I'm one, we don't always get recognized or appreciated. We work behind the scenes, we've been called woo-woo and made fun of, they make jokes of us in movies and things. And anyway, so I said, I'll gift you, I wanted to let me tune in, her animal had crossed unexpectedly. And I said, send me a picture so I like to connect through the eyes. I don't need a picture, but it definitely helps because I can see that being. And immediately I'm like, this sadness. I mean, just like the worst grief. And I realized this animal didn't want to leave her. Didn't want to leave her, but the body just wasn't. And I got like immediate, like this animal's ready to come back, immediate reincarnation. And I knew it, and I mean, anyway, the point is that's a form of clairsentience. But and actually, Carolina was in the room with me, she's not here right now, but I just started crying, and I know it's not my sadness,
Right.
but I'm so overwhelmed with the sadness.
That's empathic.
It's empathic, I'm an empath.
Me too.
By the way,
I
thank
knew
you for
I
mentioning
knew
that
you were.
because
I picked that up
Right.
from you, yeah.
what is empathic? What does that mean?
Feel sorry with.
Well, I'm not, sorry, say something.
To feel sorry with.
I wouldn't even say that, it's to feel. To feel anything and everything. So animals are they are the ultimate empaths. This is like my quote, I say it all the time. Some of my original quotes, the left brain's trying to figure out what the right brain already knows, and animals are the ultimate empaths. They are sponges. To me, an empath is a sponge. So you can squeeze up everything around you and feel it, and you have to wring it out. Empaths have to be able to let go emotionally, energetically of that which is not ours. But that's part of the training of being an empath. The hardest part of being an empath is like, I'm feeling everyone's stuff, I don't know what to do, how do I deal with all this feeling?
You scream.
And there's a big period of time where empaths don't want to go out in the world, they only want to be in nature, because they can't handle it, they don't know how to make their way through the world. It's really tough, but animals are ultimate empaths, and imagine living, this is what we'll get into when we get into more energy. So, okay, but so those are the clairs. You can feel an emotion. Another part of clair sentience is you could feel a body part. So like last night I was doing healing and I had the whole first part of the night, I could not almost breathe. My heart was like, I always can feel people's hearts in the room, but this was so intense. And it turns out there were 2 women in the front, especially one in particular, major heart problems. At one part, I had to get quiet and ask, what am I going to do? I can't function right now. I don't know, this, it's all the people. And I was told, it's just right in front of you, 2 women. So I asked, which one is it of you? And it turned out to be both of them. So, and I'm maintaining privacy and, because I don't want to be dishonoring to anyone. Just to let you know, like once I got that and then I got quiet, I asked, what do I do? And I was told, just keep clearing it. And I kept clearing it. They could hear me all night. I was clearing for this. And by the end of the night, I couldn't feel it at all. But that's empath, right? So our animals could feel a body part too, if there's a body part. So that's a form of animal communication, because an animal could show me the pain in the body by just making me feel it. And I'll know, is there a liver issue? Is there a kidney issue? I'm feeling it right here in my kidneys. Is there a back problem? Is there, my leg can't move? Is there arthritis? I can pick it up. Okay, we have that ability too, to be clairsentient. So that's also a form of clairsentience. Physical, emotional, energetic, and just gut feeling, intuitive. That's all clairsentience. Okay, those are the clairs. Make sense? That's how information is exchanged. So first we talked about the ways we use our bodies to exchange the information, and then we talked about the kinds of information that is exchanged. That's the clairs. Make sense? Everyone with me?
Yep.
Questions?
I just wanted to share one thing that happened to me that was, I didn't understand it at the time. Excuse me, I was with the zoo. We were going to the Four Corners area, and we stepped into the Pueblo village. And I was fine, stepped into the village, and I started crying. Just running down my face, and I'm part Native American. I cried the whole time. I was so embarrassed. I didn't know what to do. And I told
Judging
my
yourself.
friend, well, I told my friend I can't quit crying, so I just went by the creek and sat there and just let the tears come.
Yes.
And I know I was picking up on the sadness,
Yes.
what had gone on there in the
Yes.
thousands of years.
Yes.
And it's tough to be like that.
Yes.
And another time I went to a friend's new home. She'd just gotten married. Her first husband's wife had died in that house, and I knew that. Walked in the house, started crying. And how embarrassing, because I didn't know this man. And finally I went back to the porch, and she came out to see me, and she's an esoteric person, and she said, I never told you that Eldon's wife committed suicide in this house. It's tough being that way.
Yes, it is. This is why we really do have to learn, but not learn so much in the traditional sense, although that's part of it, how to work through this. And that's why centers like this are so important, because where else can we go? You don't learn this stuff in church. And there's not a schooling system for us, so this is where we have to come. I mean, on the internet, there's, I do most of my classes and workshops are through the internet, because it's just as effective. But yeah, thank you. I remember once, I'll say this real fast, I went to St. Augustine in Florida, and we did like a midnight ghost tour on New Year's Eve one year. And I mean, my family wanted to do it, and they took us to a real jail cell, and they showed us where they hung people in the back. And when I went in there, I was so overtaken. I was channeling like the whole time, clearing, and I mean, I can try to tell you what it sounded like, but I went into this like light language of clearing, and it sounded something like, but it wasn't like that. It was real, like, my body was doing this. I was clearing so much of that energy. I couldn't be in there, and I had to go sit outside while it all cleared, because I couldn't be in there for the whole tour. It's just, Yeah, and Spirit Source uses you when you have these abilities because that's part of us clearing this reality of all this density.
Well, then you were talking about things just coming to us. My husband and I were reading in bed one day, and he had a grandson who was kind of getting into trouble. I was laying there reading this book, and I just all of a sudden turned to him and I said, Cody's going to be a father. And my husband said, what? And he said, where did you get that? I said, I don't know. Well, I had to go to his mother's house where he was, and to make a long story short, I found books on how to be a good father and blah, blah, blah. Had to go back the next week and ask him about it, and he denied it until I kept questioning him, and then he showed me the picture of the ultrasound, and I'm just overwhelmed, and I said, when is this baby due? In 6 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow.
6 weeks.
Wow.
Why that happened, and it's never happened since.
Well, you know, somebody asked that the other night about, in one of the other events, about he had some precog stuff and then it went away. You know, sometimes it comes to us and then sometimes either we block it out or it's some kind of message to us to develop it. And if we don't, I really so wholly subscribe to if you don't use it, you lose it.
Well,
I
I
mean,
think
why
that
doesn't
maybe-
Dick Cheney have a heart? Why doesn't Dick Cheney have a heart?
Because he's a psychopath.
Well, yeah, I mean, my running joke is because he's a dick. But really, it's because he hasn't used it, right? Why does Rush Limbaugh not have hearing? Why is he deaf? He doesn't use it, he's just talking. If you don't use it, you lose it. So we all have these gifts.
Well, I think the baby needed some clothes and diapers and
Yes,
formula, and
right.
that's why I got the message.
Right, yes,
That's
for
what
sure.
we did was, everyone
Yeah,
got
you were able
together.
to use it in service. Yeah. But this is the thing, the more we develop this, and especially these are gifts of the divine. And I've learned that the reason, for me personally, I know this is true and I'm sure many people would agree, is that when we use it in service, it develops. What we give strengthens. What we offer in service develops. And I think for sure that's how I got so good at this, because I'm a person, and I know Carolina can say this, if you're around me in a social environment and something's coming up, I will offer it. I don't sit there and say, oh, you need to book a session with me. I only will do that if I'm like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I need some time to take care of me. But, other than that, I'm not ever saying no, because to me it's a gift that I have that's meant to be offered to be of service. And because of that, it's always developing. And I love that. I'm so grateful for it. So that's why I can come here, because I really do know that Source is my provider. I work for God. I'm here to share this. I love to share it. I love to do it. I show up. So anyway, we all have this, and it's all available to us. Okay, I want to give you this one other part, and then we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back and do a meditation. But let's talk about the energy, because this is really important part of it. So, and feel free to ask questions, comments. The energy, the language of animals is a universal language of energy. And we are all already speaking it. We're just not doing it with any kind of intelligent, discerning consciousness. So when you're around people, for example, who are complaining all day, that you're drained by the end of the day of them. But that's energy. That energy is blood-sucking, vampire, drain, pulled misery. And like if you go into a hospital, for example, where people are sick, by the time you walk out, you're like, you go through an airport, you get home from the traveling, you're like, I need a shower fast, because you got all kinds of psychic crap on you, but in this reality we don't acknowledge it, but you still know you feel exhausted. You're drained. If you go to a funeral, you leave there, you're not exactly like in the best joyful mood. But if you go to nature and you sit in the middle of the redwood trees for 10 minutes, this is scientifically documented, you feel better. That if you walk barefoot, which not enough people are doing barefoot, but do you know the science of grounding, earthing?
Yes.
5 minutes under a microscope, 5 minutes of barefoot on the earth, under a microscope, the blood is healthier. 5 minutes before barefoot, 5 minutes after barefoot. Earth is a healer. That's called grounding and earthing. It's scientifically measured now. So we know that there's some form of energy that's affecting us, and we're being able to start learning about it, but we haven't paid enough attention to it in the past, right? We haven't acknowledged it. But animals are already speaking this language of energy. So, for example, a really easy way to make sense of it is the heaviest, densest energy. How would we label those? Heaviest, densest energies?
Dark.
Dark, heavy. Okay, what words might we give to those?
Lower energies.
Yes,
Low vibration.
negativity. But let's even be even more specific with how we
Dense.
experience them.
Be very dense.
How about
Sad.
fear? Yes.
Fear.
Sadness, fear, anxiety, worry, fret, grief, depression, anger, guilt, shame, all of those things. Now, when they are very slow, dense. What is density? Is an ice cube dense water? Right, so what happens when we take water and freeze it, it becomes dense, right? So heavy that it forms an ice cube. So what that basically is the molecules have stopped moving, right? That's an ice cube. Well, what happens with anger that stops moving?
Contraction. Interesting.
Lodges in your body.
Forms dis-ease. What is the energy of anger that has stopped moving? That's a form of it.
Cancer.
Cancer.
Eating
Cancer
away.
is repressed, suppressed anger. What is depression?
It's
Suppressed emotions.
It's suppressed emotions. It's a sadness that's gotten so bad, it's not been processed. And now the soul, who is love, the spirit who is love, happiness and joy, is so fragmented that this person has lost their way. The soul's over here, come here, but they're so dense and so much sadness, so much depression, they can't find their way. All of the diseases of our planet are emotions that are so heavy and dense, we haven't processed them. Every disease can be linked in to an unprocessed emotion. Now, so on the other extreme, we have the lightest emotions. You know what they are.
Love, joy.
Yes.
Happiness.
Yes, peace, harmony, forgiveness,
Balance.
compassion, understanding. Balance isn't an emotion so much, but you could feel balanced.
Yeah.
You could say that. But nonetheless, whatever.
Yeah.
They feel good. They're light.
Fun.
I'm here, I'm there. I'm having a good time. We're going on vacation. Let's go play. Let's go to the beach. Let's go sit in nature. Oh, I'd like to give some to you. Abundance, sharing, prosperity. You prosper, I prosper. All that feels good. So what's happened is that humanity, in their unconsciousness, is saying there, but it's me too, all of us, as we've been so fractaled off from the lightness and feeling good, enjoyment, pleasure, happiness, forgiveness, peace, we've gotten diseased. We've unprocessed. We've not processed our emotions. We walk around. Nothing's possible for me. I have no money. I don't have enough money. I don't have a job I like. I hate my job. Whatever. You know the story. Oh my God, what am I going to do if I can't pay my bills? And this happens, gets trapped in the body. This dense, heavy energy. We come home. We're walking around our lives, going through life like this. And what happens? We walk into the room, open the door, dog, cat, and you're like, now this animal's clear. So what happens with the light? The shadow, the dark, the heaviness rises to the light. The light always heals the dark. Animal is an empath. Animal is telepathic, reads the thoughts. Oh, she had a hard day. Oh, she's mad at her boss. Maybe they don't translate it exactly in those words, but they get it. Oh, I see an image. That thing looks like her boss. It's a person of authority, big man, mean man. Oh, he's mean. Oh, he's yelling at her. I can see it. It's in her mind. She's thinking about it. I feel it. I feel her anger. Oh, now the animal's taking it on. Animal has a divine mission to heal the human. Animal gets sick. Animal has cancer. human doesn't know why the animal has cancer. The animal's healing the human. This is a language of energy, language of love, divine mission. That cancer is the human's anger. Can you see this?
Oh, yeah.
You guys just had a big lightning. Now wait a second, this is what happens, look at your face. You've just judged it.
My son's dog has cancer.
I get it, okay, so, but this is what we do, because we care. I'm sorry, honey. So our job as animal communicators, this is the hard part, because we go into judgment. And it's natural, because we're sensitive, and we care, and we're compassionate. That's our compassion. So I'm sorry, because I know that's the hardest. I should give people a better, get ready for this, right? Because most animal communicators don't even really know this. If they're communicating, if they don't understand energy, they don't necessarily, I learned this because I've incorporated my life as a healer with communication. Animal communicators aren't necessarily healers, and they don't necessarily know this stuff. Most animal communicators don't, if they're not healers. But that's because it's my brand of what I share. Nonetheless, we go into that compassion, we feel sad, we feel sorry, we might judge it or blame it or make it wrong. We don't mean to, but that's our filter, because we're still humans. But our job is, I believe, to be really effective communicators, is to be able to find a way to become neutral, not discompassionate, not uncaring, but to be neutral enough so that we can translate this effectively. Because how else can we say, when the human comes to you and says, is anyone a healer in the room? Are we any healers? Okay, good. So when someone comes to you and says, how do I heal my dog? You're giving Reiki. How do you possibly know how to help them heal if you can't understand the human-animal connection? It's always linked. In fact, we're all linked. So if we don't understand the interconnectedness of all beings, and a great example is that heart experience from last night. There's this woman I've never met before, and I am having a hard time with my own heart. I know it's not mine. I knew it was the group. I didn't know it was the woman right in front of me until I asked. How could I possibly be having such a hard time with my own heart if I'm not connected energetically to every other being? This woman across from me having major heart issues. We're all connected. And this is why the animals are here to teach us this universal language of energy through their love, their clarity, their purity, that they can take it on to help the human to see some aspect that the human has not been willing or able to see in our own selves. Makes sense? We can't see, we can't. People who have cancer, I've worked with a lot of people with cancer. I'm just using that as an example, but it could be any disease. Name your pick.
Sure.
I've worked with people with cancer and they are angry. A lot of times, really angry. Unprocessed anger. It's hard sometimes. I mean, I have some videos on YouTube. If you go watch my videos, there's some recent videos. People in the audience who came for healing with anger. And it's almost impossible to communicate with them because they're engaging in a fight and a battle that makes it challenging even to overcome and stay in my neutrality. But that's our job as healers and as communicators, to somehow find a way to be in our neutrality. Otherwise we end up judging or making wrong, or we suddenly take it on. And then we become, as empaths, afraid that we're taking it on someone. We're not taking it on. We're translators. Our empathic nature is our gift. But until we learn how to know how to bring ourselves into neutral, which is part of what we do for ourselves to do this service, we have to learn how to clear our own energy field so that we can be in that neutral. It's a sacred, neutral place that's clear and free, that's able to discern what's mine, what's someone else's, what's the animals, what's the humans, and how can I be the translator, the vessel for the vehicle of source as the neutral. This is the work, right? Now, there's no way we can do all of that in 3 hours, but as an introduction to help you understand, to me, this is what you have to know, the basics of animal communication, telepathy, and the energy that they speak. Because, just to sum it up, they know the energy of joy. They know When mommy's excited, she grabs the keys, they're making that connection, happiness, joy, we're going out. And they meet you at the door because they're ready to go. And they know when you are angry and you're cursing in the house, you're pissed off about something, or Donald Trump did this, or who knows, whatever it is, pissing us off, pushing the buttons, and that's when the cat goes, hides under the, you know, or you're thinking, we've got to go to the doctor, and he's afraid in the car, and, or you're thinking, or feel, oh my God, it's 4th of July, what am I going to do when those fireworks go out? And now the dog, you can't get to the dog because he's hiding in the closet, whatever. You understand they're picking up on all of this, it's all vibration, it's all energy, and ultimately, this is the future for humanity, because we're evolving out of this state, evolving into a new state of all being energetically sensitive, and our job is to come into some kind of clarity with Source. This has barely begun, really, in a sense. We just really started it, and they're helping us to learn this. Does this make sense?
Yes.
One other piece about this, and then we'll take a break, is from an energetics point of view, it's also true. Where was I going? I lost that. Please bring it back. Please bring it back. It felt important. It was important, and I don't remember. Oh, yes, thank you. Behaviorally. It's also true behaviorally. So you get an aggressive dog, for example, and the aggressive dog is aggressive because perhaps the human is carrying so much fear that she or he believes they need protection. Human can't understand why the dog's aggressive. She's not aggressive. He's a nice person, so gentle, would never fight with anyone, but is maybe so meek, and inside they're harboring fear of people. Or maybe that person has an old trauma, we don't even know this necessarily, they were raped maybe, and they're afraid of men. But you don't know that. So why is the dog afraid of men? Why is the dog aggressive with men? But the human is carrying that, and you wouldn't necessarily know that, right? Or maybe the human family is fighting all the time. You don't know that either, because we don't know what goes behind the closed doors of private homes. But maybe there's spousal fighting, and this dog's aggressive. He's dealing with the processing of the dog, cat. Could be aggression that's going on in the family dynamic. Does this make sense? Mm-hmm. It's behavioral too. It's always linked.
Lauren,
Oh, I
we
didn't
just
say
rescued
afterlife. Animals afterlife. Yeah.
this beautiful, darling multi-poo mix, and he is the sweetest, most sensitive dog. He doesn't like kids. Can that be changed?
Yes.
Something
Well, it can be
happened.
changed, but it's probably linked to some kind of trauma. And it's not, you understand, it's not going to be just the animals.
Well, he's
There-
not allowed
this
to
is
bring children
important.
to our house.
Hear me out.
Excuse me.
This is important. There are sacred contracts and sacred agreements. So this animal has lived many lifetimes just like we have, which, by the way, science calls that dimensions of time and space. Quantum physics validates this. We've called it past lifetimes of linear time in a past life. But it's a parallel lifetime, and it's going on right now because all things exist right now. This is quantum physics. We go more into this tomorrow night. But, so that animal has a trauma, maybe from another lifetime, or maybe from this lifetime, related to children, let's just say, in this example. May or may not be exactly what it is. And maybe you, as the parent, you or whoever the parent is, has a trauma, or a concern, or a worry about kids hurting him. You are both linking up on this energetically, having a co-created, shared experience. Does this make sense? If it's easier when you don't personalize it, so I'm trying to pretend, if it's not your story, just generically. An animal's afraid of kids, maybe that human has issues either from this lifetime or another where kids bullied the human as a child. Maybe she was bullied by kids and she's storing that trauma. Or maybe that human never had kids, or we don't know. But you think that you just got that animal to you by accident and they've got some trauma that has nothing to do with you, and I can tell you that's not the case. Because everything is vibration, everything is energy, and no two energies can come together unless they are vibrationally compatible. Does this make sense?
Yes.
This is why I can 100% guarantee you that if you don't steal, you will not be stolen from. But in this reality, you wouldn't be told that. It's not true. be afraid. Lock your house up, lock your car up, get an alarm, get a police protection, get a police dog, be afraid, because this vibration is fear-based. But it's not the truth. Because if you're not vibration, you cannot get sick. It is impossible to be sick if your body is vibrating entirely with these lighter vibrations, peace, harmony, love. Same thing is true with the animals. So when an animal comes into your life and there's a trauma, you rescued the animal, but there's some kind of experience for you in it too. Even though you adopted the animal and they already had it. So a perfect example is my dog Kenya, that I referred to earlier. I went to South Central LA to adopt a dog that day to save a life. I intended to save a life. But you know what? I did save a life. She had parvo, actually. This is 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. And back then, that was a death sentence. The vet told me back then, take her back, get another one. I was like, this is my dog. You only had it for 2 days, take her back, get another one. It's gonna cost you over $5,000. This is my dog. Okay, but why? Why was that a vibrational match? Because I was meant to learn to be a healer. I was meant to learn from this dog. I already had trauma of not helping animals. I wanted to help animals. This is from another lifetime where I didn't help animals that I wanted to help and felt like okay, that's another story. But you meet up on purpose. Does this make sense? So let's just take, I know now I'm running long. 2 more minutes. I just want to say animals in the afterlife. Might be more than 2 minutes, but 2-3 minutes. Animals, when they cross over, the consciousness of that being, just like we have a consciousness, and we take it for granted in spiritual circles and spiritual community, that we're spiritual sentient beings, a soul that lives on. In this old reality that we're coming out of, they don't believe that, they don't know. Maybe you die, you become a tree, but you don't have any consciousness. Is reincarnation real? Is afterlife real? They don't know. I'm saying they because I don't resonate with that anymore. I know. There is I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer. I'm a knower. And I can sometimes have a little bit of arrogance about my knowing, but I think I've earned that through my journey here. There is an embodiment of a soul that's occupying a physical vessel, which we call a body. And that soul is actually an aspect of source, divine source, creator. And that source is in each and every one of us. Jesus had that right. We go to religion, we believe in religion, but we don't believe we're God in bodies. We are, we're God in bodies. But we've played in the game of unconsciousness and denial and ignorance, and there's no judgment on those words. We just were playing with that game. And we had to play separation, the game of separation, right? But these animals, they haven't forgotten because they still have their connection to source. So when the body dies, for them, it's much easier, in a sense, to let go of the body. And they're not as attached to the body as we are. And also because they know they have a knowing to some degree of consciousness that they can come back and reincarnate again. Nonetheless, whether you believe that or not, whether you're at that level of knowing or not, even science validates, the infinite existence of energy. Einstein, E equals mc squared, energy exists in perpetual motion and just continues to transform itself, right? So the energy of the consciousness that inhabits the body, that does the talking, that has the experience, that is the witness, that is the experiencer, that is the thinker, that is the emoter, that energy of that consciousness, which is source in a body, experiencing itself as a dog, a cat, a bird, a horse, a human, whatever, that consciousness continues. So when the body drops, the consciousness continues, but it's still part of a soul family. The family that it shared with you. The dog, the cat, the human. And it's linked to you as a soul family, a soul mate. And it stays with you and around you. So you're a human who crossed over, like my dead brother Jeff, who had such a good sense of humor. He was sharing, that personality self was still with him. And our animals, they stay around us too for a long time. Until we are really kind of done with them. Not that we're done, the love is perpetual. But that they're like, okay, I'm not needed as much here to help them work through their grief. I think I'm ready to come back. They might come back right away in another body because they're like, I'm ready right now. Let's just work. you know, that body wasn't couldn't, like my client, I said, that body had to go, the body had taken on as much as it could, but the soul is not done with this human. I'm coming right back as fast as she'll have me. Or I'm gonna hang out, she's not ready, she's still working through her grief, or he's still, I'll be around, I'll whisper to them, I'll work through them, or I'll continue to teach them. I'm a soulmate in a soul family. May come back at some point in the future, or may move on to another family, but still part of a soul family. It could be your cousin's dog or something like that. We don't, you know. And then the other thing about the soul family is important to understand is that a lot of times, even though they've crossed over, you know, it doesn't mean they're coming back as a human. In India and many ancient religions, the belief system is that animals reincarnating to become a human. In my experience as an animal communicator, that's almost never true. I've very rarely met animals that want to be humans. They're like,
They're smarter.
so much better. But they do sometimes want to pick human families that will. Like my dog right now, she's just got it made. I'm like, this dog is so lucky. Like, she's so lucky. I'm a healer. I meditate every day. I give her all or natural, raw, health food. I feed her human grade supplements. I give her different. I mean, she's just like, I think she's one of the luckiest dogs in the world, except when I'm stressed out. But then she's like, okay, I'm going to go up in the meditation room. I'll come back down when she's done. Like, she knows. She's got it. Anyway. All right, so but that's the whole thing. Soul families, I don't think that they're most of them are not trying to become humans. I think that's a egoic belief system based in some old religion that at that time that's what they believed.
Do they stay in the same species? Do they come in and...
Not always.
No?
Sometimes I've met some animals who have stayed as their species, and I've met other animals. I've met animals who have been in the wild who want to experience being with a human, but they might have an experience with a human who's not as entangled with them, a little more distant, or sometimes they want someone who mostly lives in the wild and still will, like someone who's a hunter or something, you know, different kinds. Anyway. We gotta get everything under the sun. And what I'll wrap with this before we take our break is that I see human reality, planet Earth, as one big circus act, one big carnival. What do you want to have? What kind of experience? You want to ride the heat? You know, what do you want to ride? What do you want to do? You want to go in the haunted house, or do you want to go in the Ferris wheel? But it's all here, and there's no right or wrong of it. It's just up to you.
And say something. I think that's so interesting what you said about the animals coming back, because when I was like 12, 13 years old, I was a dog named Charlie Brown, and actually a neighbor killed it, and I was so hurt, and she was so sorry. And my dog, the Coco that I have now, I thought, this is Charlie Brown. This is the dog that I have. I thought that many times, so I appreciate it.
Yeah. And an animal communicator who's really good can usually tell, especially if they do also past life stuff and reincarnation stuff. But another way to tell it is even muscle testing, if you're familiar with muscle testing. I could go on, this is stuff I teach in my class. In fact, I use a lot of muscle testing and pendulum in the class I teach on locating lost animals, learning energy healing with animals, and making heart-centered connections with animals. This is all free. So just make sure we've given we've gotten your email address. If you don't hear from us, it's because we couldn't read it. So you have to make sure we can read it. Because I've like struggled a lot of times to try to repeat, and then I'm like, you know what, I don't need to work this hard for free gifts. So make sure we can read it and make sure we've got it. You're welcome to take this and share it with other people. There's flyers outside.
I opened that up and MP3 show up. I didn't see a way to save it so I could listen
It's
to it again
probably
without
once you
going to
click
my
on them.
email. Huh?
Right click.
When you click on them, it's probably been downloaded into your,
Into my email.
no,
Oh.
Download
the download folder.
Oh, and go there and
Yeah.
then look for it. Because I
But
thought I
anyone
started
who's
listening and
technical
it
can
was
help
like,
you.
I want to listen to this again.
It's probably sitting on your computer because you have the
Okay.
ability to do that. But a tech
Thank you.
person can, yeah, even in like state, any of those techie places, they can help you find it if you don't know how to find it, but it's probably in the
You
downloads.
help me. I can do that.
Awesome. All right, now this flyer here, it has all the classes and workshops I offer, and there's a lot. everything, most of the full workshops I offer are home study, electronic, MP3s. And it's me talking like this. And, you have it for life. You can download it and own it and study at your own pace, and you can listen as often as you want. And what I would recommend for people, if you do want to learn animal communication and you want the practice, because in these classes, for the animal communication classes, you get booklets, you get images of animals, and you get a separate booklet with the answers. So they're not answers, but it's how you can test yourself. Like here's things that you'll pick up that are true. So you get to practice, and there's a lot of, plus all the people in the class who participated, they share their animals. We got a collective agreement, so you have multiple animals to practice with. And plus there's links to practice dens and other kinds of practical experiences. Plus there's lots of extra benefit gifts that come with the classes. And the other class that I teach that is really one of my absolute favorites, like I have 2 different schools. One is a school of Ascension, that's stuff related to tomorrow. And the other is the School of Animal Communication, Telepathy, and Energy. But one of the other classes, which is, I totally recommend, is the vibrational energy healing and meditation for people and animals. And that's where you learn to use energy to heal. But it's also a form of communication. It's not telepathy, because that's the telepathy class, but it's energy healing and meditation with and for animals, and that includes people, because we are animals. So if you're interested in that class, another great one is Animals in the Afterlife. If you want to know more about animals who have crossed over and understanding them and their sacred missions and contracts and how we agree. All 3 of those classes on my website, those classes are listed at $7.95, and on the website it gives you $200 off. So that would make them $5.95. But if you want to join one or more today, register for them today, I'll give them to you for another $200 off, which is unbelievably awesome. Really well worth it. So that would be $3.95. You save $200 if you register today. Now, Carolina can help you with that afterwards. And I'll say one other thing for people, and then we'll get started with today. This is a sacred membership. So this sacred membership, it's a year-long membership with access to tons of energy healing, DNA activations, which we haven't talked about yet, tons of content on animal communication, telepathy, energy. It's got so much. It's got stuff on the Akashic Records. It's got stuff on star family races. It's got stuff on dark arts training, working as an empath. It's a full year membership with over 100 hours of content plus ebooks. All my ebooks are in there, including the ebook on Stop Feeding Me Junk, Superfoods for You and Your Pets, which is on Amazon. Anyway, if you're interested in that sacred membership, on my website, that's $444. And if you take this flyer, you get a $100 coupon. But if you register today, you'll get a 50% off, $222. So if you'd like that, and Carolyn can help you with that after. But that's if you want to do more. If you like what you've gotten. And yeah, there's lots of meditations in there, tons of meditations. So, all right, cool. Make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Any questions? Any comments? We're going to do the meditation now, yeah?
Yep.
All right, so this meditation, what we're going to do is we're going to bring you, so it would like all the phones off, and there's no recording of this. So we're going to bring you into a theta brainwave, and what we'll do is we'll invite in an animal. But obviously, it's like normally even this initial meditation, we would have done 5 other meditations before we did this. So I'm kind of giving you a full Monty, but I can't give you the full Monty. You would do a lot of practices, developing your clairs, all that stuff. We work on opening the clairs in the classes and expanding and pineal gland activations. For this, I'm going to bring you to a theta brainwave, and then we're going to invite in an animal. And you're going to receive whatever you receive, allow whatever you allow, notice whatever you notice. It's not full-on communication, because again, that's like, that's a 12-hour class, or more actually, 15 hours. So, but let's do it, so at least you can kind of have an experience. And just if you could set your intention now, that you will have an experience that is profound for you, that is significant, that's supportive, helpful to you, or serves you in the highest and best way, right? Set your intention that you'll receive and experience something that's truly profound for you. And so now as we start to get into it, I want you to just get yourself really comfortable. Whatever needs to stretch or move, just let it stretch, move. And your feet should be on the floor, especially for beginners or people who are relatively new to this. And you're just letting your body get as comfortable as you need. You can crack anything that needs to crack, whatever it is. And then when you get really comfortable and you're ready to start to relax, you let your eyes close, when you feel safe to do so. And you start taking some deep, long, slow breaths. Now the average person is breathing kind of like this. When you tell them to take a big breath, you're breathing all up here in the chest. I want you to breathe down into the belly. So what that means is as you start taking these breaths, long, slow, deep, comfortable breaths for you, the breath starts to come in through the nose. Your eyes are closed. You can feel it with your mind as it comes in. And you actually feel it going through the breathing apparatus of the nose. And you actually feel it go into the brain. You actually can feel the breath as it travels into the brain. You can feel, your brain can feel this breath. And your eyes are closed. You may even start to see some kind of lighting or lighting up. Whatever it is fine. There's no way to do this wrong, and there's no perfect, exact way. But as this breath comes in through the nose and goes into the brain, I'd like you to start to identify the breath, not so much as oxygen, but rather as the frequency, the energy, the vibration of love. And that actually you're breathing love. And this breath of love now, once again, coming in through the nose, feeling it as it does, feel it come into the brain, feel it go straight to the back of the brain and fill up the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, love. Slow, long, deep breaths of love filling up the brain. And the body further relaxes. You start to feel parts of your body surrendering now to this breath. And now you're still traveling it. So from the brain, this love is traveling down the throat. You can feel the throat fill up with love. And that love now travels down into the heart center. So that's the whole breathing apparatus, right? There's a breathing tube from the throat now into the heart. And along this breathing tube, there's the vagus nerve, which is the primary nerve channel. So it's relaxing too. You're breathing this love. The whole chest, the whole heart, the upper back is all getting filled up with love. And we also know this as the heart chakra, the energy center, where this vital organ, the lungs, the breast, the upper back, they all are part of this energy center. So it's filling up with love. You can exhale when you're ready. You just long, slow, deep, relaxing, comfortable breaths. The exhale could be whenever it feels good. You let it out the mouth. And then another deep, full, rich breath. And with your mind, you're feeling this love. Once again, through the nose, into the brain, into the throat, down into the heart center, and now this time it goes even deeper into the belly center, fills up the whole belly. And the belly is expanding now with this love. So big belly, like a Buddha belly, fills up with love. You exhale whenever you're ready, but then once again, you feel the love, once again, travel through all the breathing apparatus. Body's still relaxing, body's still finding its comfort. Let the body relax. And when you fill up the breath of love down into the belly this time, you recognize all the belly organs, stomach, large intestine, small intestine, pancreas, liver, kidneys. They're all getting filled up with love. And this love is expanding and opening this energy center, providing you with an open channel of love. That's all you're channeling right now, love. You breathe it, it breathes you. Before you realize this love that you're breathing is so big and full and deep, it almost feels like you stop breathing. But you just breathe some more love. This time, feel it as it comes in through the nose. Feel it goes through the brain, opens up that pineal gland. You're just breathing it straight into pineal gland, pituitary gland, breathing love. Love decalcifies. And then travel it down into the throat, opens up the thymus, opens up the high heart, hypothalamus, travels down into the heart center, opens up that heart center to love, builds brain matter. Brain knows it's getting loved. Heart feels love. Lungs and chest open to love. Breathe it down now, belly center. All the organs being nourished by love. Brain, gut, opening up, gut instinct, opening up to love. Reproductive center coming into balance, feminine energy, masculine energy. Creativity, awakening, breathing love. And then feel that love go into the buttocks now. You can feel your buttocks with your mind. You can feel it. You can feel yourself sitting on a chair. You feel this love traveling through your breathing apparatus, relaxing you. And now this love, like energy, like an energy cord, it's just traveling this time now, even deeper, into the thighs. You feel the love that you're breathing, that's breathing you, and now it moves into the thighs. You can feel it. Feel the love travel into the knees. Breathe some more deep, long, slow breaths of love, and travel it down into the calves. So you actually feel your calves with your mind. You can feel sometimes a little tingling, little electricity. Whatever you feel is fine. There's no way to do it wrong. There's no wrong way. There's no perfect way. And then just breathe some more love down into the ankles. Feel your ankles. Feel the energetics of your body awakening to love. And now breathe that love down into the feet. This time, this love, like an energy cord, is dropping down from your feet through the floor beneath you. There's no way to do this wrong. Just breathe love and let love drop into the earth. So you keep breathing. You are the channel of love going down through the floor beneath you, through rocks and dirt and sand. This love travels through all that is, through empty space in the earth, and through layers and layers of ocean depths, through the ocean floor, and through more empty space, until this love wraps in and through the core center of Mother Earth, which is the crystalline consciousness, crystals in the center of Earth. And you're just wrapping your love in and through these crystals. And they activate with this love, and they activate love in you. So now breathe it back up. There's no way to do it wrong. And you start to breathe deeper, richer, fuller love. Now it's traveling from the center of the earth through empty space in the earth. You may see, sense, or feel it, or maybe nothing. That's fine. Just keep breathing love. And it travels up through the ocean floor and ocean depths and empty space, sand, rocks, dirt, minerals, more dirt and mud and rocks and more dirt, and comes back up through the floor. Now you can feel this love. Breathe it up through your feet. Remember, there's no way to do it right or wrong. Just breathe love. You are love. Love is breathing you. Rise it up into the ankles. Feel it rise up now into the calves. Feel your calves as you breathe love. Now breathe it up into the knees. Just let yourself feel your knees. That's all. Breathe love. Feel your knees with your mind. Easy. Breathe love and feel your thighs. Breathe love now. Rise it up into the buttocks. Feel your buttocks and breathe some love. That's all. Beautiful love, crystalline love now, traveling up to the reproductive center, awakening Shakti, awakening Kundalini energies also. Breathe love. No way to do it right, wrong, nothing in particular, just breathe love. Rise love up from the reproductive into the belly, middle of the back. Feel the love. Breathe deeper, fuller, richer. Rise it up now into the heart center. Feel the whole chest cavity, upper back, torso, filling up with love. You're so expanded in love, you feel light. You hear my voice. You're not sleeping. You're awake. You're breathing love. Now rise that love into the throat center. As you rise up in the throat center, feel that love as you breathe it. It comes back up into the brain, center of the brain. Breathe love straight back. This time, color that love, if you can, a beautiful violet color. Breathe love, violet love, into the center of the brain, back of the brain. Fill up the whole brain with violet love. If you can't see, sense, or feel violet, that's fine. No way to do it wrong. Just breathe some more love. And now, while you're breathing and feeling this love in your brain, reach with your brain to the top of your brain. Some of you are already there. Very top of your brain, underneath the scalp. So you're just breathing love, feeling the top of your brain. Under the scalp. Top of the brain, under the scalp. Can you please take that outside? I asked to close them down. I'm sorry.
did. I thought it was.
Just take it outside. Okay, top of the brain. Search for the top of the brain. Top of the brain, under the scalp. You know you're there because actually I'm the only one who disturbed you. It wasn't even the phone. You were already there. So breathe some love to the very top of your brain, just under the scalp. And you know exactly where that is because you can feel it with your brain. Actually, your brain knows where the very top of your brain is, and you're just feeling that. In fact, you know you're feeling it because some part of you suddenly becomes aware there might be some tingling or some pressure or some lightness that you've never felt before. Or whatever it is, it's somehow non-spatial. You feel sort of like you're not in any space here, there, or anywhere, but you're right in your body. And if you feel like you can't feel it, just breathe some more love into the brain. And then reach to the top of your brain, under the scalp, and breathe some more love. And you're just going to keep doing that. Just keep reaching for the top of your brain, under the scalp. And now, in this moment, as you're breathing love, reaching for the top of your brain, under the scalp, I'd like you to invite in one animal. Now here's how you do it. You simply, with your mind's awareness, you think their name, and you can think it 3 times. 3 really helps to get their attention. So in your mind, you say their name, and you say, please come forward. And if at any point you feel like you're lost, just go back to breathing love to the top of your brain. At the moment you're breathing love at the top of your brain, and you're calling this animal's name in your mind, 3 times is usually ideal. You're going to allow yourself to see them, or sense them, or feel them, or be aware of their presence. However it reveals itself, you may see it in your mind, you may feel them, you may sense them, you may hear them. Whatever you notice is fine. Just notice whatever you notice. And if you're lost or confused, just breathe some more love and reach for the top of your brain, under your scalp. And now invite this animal to share whatever they have to share with you. And you simply say, what would you like to share with me? You think that thought, you ask it, and then let go, like you're asking a question and waiting for an answer. But you're not really waiting, you're just allowing whatever you notice, whatever you see, whatever you sense, whatever you perceive, whatever it is fine. So now I'm going to be quiet for a few moments, and you're going to practice this. You say their name 3 times, you invite them in, you ask what they'd like to share, and you surrender and allow whatever you notice, whatever it is fine. And if you get lost, you just breathe some more love and reach for the top of your brain, under the scalp. And then try again. Now a few moments of silence while you practice. Whatever you receive is fine. just in a moment, we're going to start to wrap up. Let's just allow yourself to even amplify. Allow whatever you may or may not be receiving, whatever it is, whatever you're noticing. Let it amplify. Let it allow yourself to let it intensify. Whatever it is. And just, I'm going to make some suggestions. Notice what you might see. Notice what you might hear. Notice what you might sense. Notice what you might know. And just allow it. And you might also ask, if you have received something that's significant, you can ask, is there anything else you'd like to share with me? Or anything else you'd like me to know? And then just let go. And now in a few moments, you're just going to let them, you're going to release them. And the way you're going to release them is to let your body, however you feel, when you feel gratitude, when you feel appreciation, or even just some more love, you're going to let yourself feel that in your body. So feel some love, feel some gratitude. Generate appreciation. What does appreciation feel like? And from your own heart center, you'll feel some sense of gratitude, appreciation, or love. And let your heart send that to this animal. Just remembering, you really know how to do this, even if you think you don't. Pretend you do. Because that's really all it is. So feel some love, feel some gratitude, feel some appreciation, and just send it to them. And if you feel like you didn't make a connection with a unique animal, just all animals, the animal kingdom, that's fine too. And just release them. And you say, I release you with gratitude. I release you with appreciation. I appreciate you. You may see or sense or feel them kind of turning and going away, or they might just dissipate. Whatever it is fine. You thank them, and you let them go. Now you're still breathing in love, so just remember that part of the top of your brain where you're kind of in the zone. You can feel it again, breathe some more love. You're opening that crown chakra, accessing theta brainwave. And then just pull all that love that you've been breathing from the top of your brain back into the center of your brain. Breathe some more love. Straight back to the center of your brain. Awakening, decalcifying, activating. And now breathe some more love now down into the throat once again, feeling the throat center. And now breathe deeper, fuller, richer love down into the heart center. We're just traveling this love. We're going to reground. And then breathe some more full, deep, rich love into the belly, core center. And travel it down so you feel this love into the reproductive center. And then travel it down now into the tailbone. And now this time just drop that love like a big cord, an energy cord of clear, pure, crystal love. Drops down out of the tailbone, out of the buttocks, straight through the chair, straight through the floor. This time it just, like, it's so strong, this love. energetically anchoring you, dropping down, straight down to the center of the earth, connecting with the crystals in the center of the earth, the crystalline consciousness, the Christ consciousness, energetically around, wrapping in and through and around these crystals, and then reversing direction now, straight up through all the layers of earth, back into your buttocks. Feel the love. This time you're going to start stretching your legs and your toes and your buttocks, and breathe some more love into the body, up into the reproductive Kegel muscles, any kind of tightness, releasing, relaxing, stretching, buttocks, waist, hips, breathe it up into the belly, moving the belly, mid-back, stretch up, breathe up into the heart, coming into the body. Never left the body in the first place. Stretch the arms, the fingers, and the upper back. Breathe that love up into the heart and the throat and the face and the head. Stretching the neck. When you're ready, come back into the space, fully present. How you guys doing? I would love to hear your experiences. I'm sorry if I sounded angry about that. It was like the moment. Please don't worry. I know that stuff always happens. It's just part of life.
I'm just,
Not a big deal.
just want to go home.
So we have some time, a little bit of time. So yes.
I wrote a children's, book about a dog that I had. And she came, and I rescued another dog that I connected to her to rescue, that looked enough like her that she can go with me to schools and hospitals and to the military and to different things. I'm about to finish the book, and she's happy that I'm taking the new dog out to do that. And she gave me the love permission to do it.
Oh,
So,
I'm so glad.
yes, thank you. I
See,
still miss that little sweetheart, but yes.
yes. Because we recognize that separation.
Yeah.
You know, even though we know that they do live on.
Yes.
But that's so wonderful.
Oh, she comes to see me every now and then.
Oh,
she
I'm so
comes.
glad.
She's trained the little Westie mix how to do some of the things she did that brought me joy. Get on her back, put her feet up, wag her tail a certain way. Yeah, she's told me she's taught her that.
Thank you for
Yes.
sharing that. Okay, I have some right here.
I accidentally hurt, actually I killed my dog by closing the car door on his head as he was trying to jump in. I didn't know this. This was 40 years ago, and I've always felt such a deep pain in my heart because of it, because
Yeah.
that was a very special dog. And so I just felt a great sense of forgiveness come to me from her. I just wanted to share that.
Oh, that's beautiful. I feel it too. That's wonderful. They never ever want us. One thing I know about connecting with animals in the afterlife is that they never want us to be in pain over them. They want us to celebrate the experience. Glad for that. Thanks for sharing. I'll come over here.
I have a feral cat that I adopted. She came to my house and I felt bad about keeping her in the house because when I first got her, she would paw like at the TV and the door and stuff. So I asked her if she was okay being in the house with me, and she said, "Are you okay? What do I have to do? I gave you a bath last night. I gave you a facial. What do I have to do to let you know I'm okay?"
Oh,
Yeah.
isn't that so sweet?
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. That's her name, Sweet Pea.
Oh, that's wonderful. That makes me so happy. You guys had some great experiences. Who else wants to share?
So I really wanted to get some clear, I rescue bulldogs, and my Miss Juliet is so aggressive towards my Mr. Murray. He's just the sweetest little guy, he just wants to play, and Juliet gets jealous and really attacks him. So I wanted to get clarity on that, but what I got was an image of the purple changed to blue. I know she really likes water, and I've gotten her like a pool in the past for her to play in the water in the pool, and that's the only image I got, was the image of a new pool with the water. I really wanted her to tell me why she beats up on Murray all the time, but
Why she
anyway.
beats on Murray?
Beats up on him, yeah. She really
What's her name?
attacks him. Juliet. And it's really, you know,
And can you tell me your first name?
Debbie.
Okay. So first, Murray has a victim consciousness where he's been victimized, and she's picking up on that and using her power to help him to heal the victimizer, the victim, and she's healing victimizer. But this is a pattern in your home. Where have you felt victimized, and where have you victimized others? This is an archetypical pattern.
Right.
I feel like the purple pool, part of what I'm picking up also is just to have more time to fun and play. You're not taking as much time to have fun and play and enjoy life, working too hard. Is that making sense for you? So you didn't necessarily understand that translation, but that's how I'm translating it. She associates that with a lot of fun and play. She says if there was more fun in our lives, we wouldn't be fighting so much, there wouldn't be so much tension. If you would take more time to enjoy life. But this is a simple thing, right? This is what we mean about translation. Because you're brand new, and isn't it interesting how you're beating up on yourself that you didn't get more of what you wanted? That's sort of kind of self-aggression that we do. I should have it this way, it should come this way, I didn't get it good enough or right enough or something. Maybe not exactly, maybe I'm translating it slightly off, but I'm hearing from my ears, I'm hearing a kind of harshness about what you expect of your own self, and I'm hearing, that's not so inaccurate, Lori. In other words, that's pretty accurate. She's hard on herself, and this pattern's playing out even in this kind of overly critical, self-critical. You're just practicing for the first time, and you wanted like a whole story? I think that's pretty good for like a first time.
A B is a fail, you know, a B is a fail.
Right, okay, so and where did that critical voice come from?
Yeah.
That's the daddy, I know it is. So, there's a lot more in there about that, but the point is more like, just from a group dynamic, you know, we're brand new at it. Takes us time to learn it. This is what I'm saying. You don't become an expert in a 10-minute meditation and after a 3-hour class. You know, in my weekend course, the online course, it's like 15 hours or more. I don't even remember exactly, but it's somewhere around. It was an 8-week course, and every course is 3 hours, 21 hours plus all the extras that come with it. You get practice over and over again. You did 5-minute meditation, and you expect to have a whole story. That's an interesting expectation right there. And there it is, Juliet having this expectation of how either Murray's supposed to behave, and he's like this poor little innocent getting attacked. And you're attacking your own self. Okay.
That's good.
All right, how did, I wanted to ask you, how did you do? No.
Well, I had a dog for 18 years named Truman, and I had a new one I just picked up here recently because Truman wouldn't last more than 18 years. That was a long time for Truman. I had him from mid-20s to just in my late 30s and early 40s, sorry. He was like a little son to me. He'd go everywhere I'd go. He was 25 pounds. He was a mutt. He was the run of the litter. No one wanted him. A friend of mine told me I could have a choice of just taking his dog home for the weekend, and if I liked him, just keep him. And of course I did. First thing he did, it was cold in the winter, and he crawled right up. As you were driving, crawled right up behind me, wrapped himself around my neck, and I just kind of wore him. But anyway, the vet told me when I got my new dog, she said, this dog must mean a lot to you because you're replacing a dog you had a relationship with for 18 years with a new pet. So it must be a very special relationship.
So,
So I just thought of Trim. He was riding with me. I mean, I just would go everywhere with him. And so my picture, my image that I just thought of when I was meditating, trying to meditate, was him just sitting right next to me in my car, which he always did.
but, so, I mean, I'm wondering if anyone's, because what hasn't been said to me seems very obvious. Doesn't seem very obvious to everybody else, and I think that you know it too. And I was waiting for you to actually verbalize it. Now, the second dog is the reincarnation of the first dog. Is that not obvious to you?
Feels that way.
Yes. And so some part of you doesn't really want to say it because that can't possibly be true,
Woo woo.
right?
No, it's a female, and it's
It doesn't matter.
twice, 3 times the size. But
Even
yes.
the gender, it doesn't matter because what they do is they find a right body. You see, when you're in the non-physical realm, there's an aspect that's like can see other timeline experience. When I say timeline, different dimensions. Oh, this potential exists. This potential exists. This is the potential where I can line up, where we can reconnect. It's like you make a date on Match.com, and you say, okay, I'll meet you at Starbucks.
Oh no.
And you have to like, oh, I'm in this Starbucks, you're in that Starbucks. But the high self is like, I know that's the Starbucks where we'll be able to meet. It's that kind of but it sounds like some part of you already knows it, but doesn't want to give yourself permission to believe it. But I think people in the room got it too. And you didn't have to even say the word. To me, as you're having that vision, it's like your animal saying, we're one and the same. Now, you can muscle test. If I muscle test, Truth, can you give me your name?
Matt.
Matt, and your dog, the first one was Truman.
Second one's Gracie.
Gracie, truth, 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 highest truth, only asking for the highest, clearest, purest truth. Testing for Matt. Thank you. Highest, clearest, purest truth. Truman is the same soul embodiment as Gracie. Highest truth. That's a yes. Do you understand muscle testing? If I get a no, truth, body, tell me the truth. Do you like fluoride? No. Your body knows the truth. The muscles know the truth. So I'm just testing, just asking. I'm neutral. I don't really care if it is or not. But the body's saying, yes, it's true. Did you guys see that?
Oh yeah.
If I test anything that's absolutely true, I go straight up. So let's ask another question. Truth, highest truth. My name is Lori. Body goes straight up, can hold it. It's absolutely true. Doesn't throw me off at all. If I have a semi-truth, highest truth, highest, clearest, purest truth. Give me a semi-truth. My dog Kenya's here with me now. So she's here with me now. She always comes to these classes, but she's not in physical body. So it's sort of like a semi-truth, right? I'm getting a yes, but not absolutely true. But when I asked, did you see? Interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. Now I was waiting for you to come here. Okay, we have like 5 more minutes before we start to wrap. You want a little mini reading?
Yeah.
But does anyone else want to share anything? No? Okay, because I don't want to do, I'm not going to do full readings here, right? But I can do, yes. Is your name Karen? Oh, no. Yeah, Karen. Oh, right, that's right. I'm sorry, I'm spacey. Okay, can you tell me his name? Satchmo and?
Buford.
Okay, but Buford's still here.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, the first thing I do here, it was time to go. You didn't make a mistake. And please reassure her. I mean, that first and foremost. Please reassure her it was time to go. Did you, is the body in the backyard? Physical body in the backyard? What are you doing with the body?
The vet took it to the crematory and they'll spread the ashes.
Oh, okay,
out there.
I heard the ashes,
His
but,
sister, yeah.
so where are you spreading the ashes?
At the crematory, at wherever they.
Okay, well, I'm hearing, it would like to be in the backyard. It's too late?
Could be, what was Monday?
But nonetheless, it's not even, he's not associating with the body, it's more for you, in a sense to
Okay.
understand he's always with you.
He's with his sister, right? She passed away Christmas Day, and she was also a Bassett. So they're together every day.
Okay. I mean, the most important thing is for you to understand, this is what he's saying, this has come from many animals who have crossed over, is the animals have windows of when they can leave, but it's pre-planned. All of our deaths are pre-planned. We choose it before we cross, and they do too. So he just really wants you to be reassured that he really was ready to move on. And yes, his body was failing. He had like inflammation in the body and what was going on.
He was 2 bottlenecks right now.
Yeah, I wasn't walking.
Right.
I can see this buttocks area. But just mostly that. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is to know you didn't make a mistake. He was ready to move on. He was already kind of leaving the body in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he had a good life. He was loved.
Yeah.
That's what he says. The only other thing is that really does light up is like the backyard and being in the backyard and nature.
He wanted to, I have 2 steps that go up to the grass part of the pool here. And at the end, he couldn't go upstairs, but I could tell he really wanted, and I could lift him up. He really wanted to go to that. He really,
Nature. But
yeah.
so even this is,
Buford.
what I'll say here is this is a significant learning for you from just the collective, almost like both them and others too, is to come into understanding the mobility issue is significant.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to do with you even getting out into nature more, enjoying mobility in nature. And sometimes it's almost like what you're doing with, I'm translating it more like less like words, but information, that it's almost like too much time inside, not enough time outside, not enough time enjoying things outside. That's the big message. Move around, have more mobility. You know, when the back legs fail. And I mean, I do see, like, it almost feels like he was having trouble with all the extremities. Was he having some bowel movement issues too?
At the end, yeah.
Okay, I see
Yeah.
that too. Right, so that has a lot to do with us feeling safe in our connection to the earth, which has to do with, yes, being outside in the earth, but also just being physical bodies, having a physical life experience, enjoying our experience in life. Does that make sense? Yeah, and just as a name person, I'll say this too, the name Karen. Karens are really powerful people who don't know how powerful they are, so they play small. But actually they're generally, in terms of comparison, they're way more powerful than the people they interact with. But because they see themselves so small, they tend to interact with sometimes people who are, maybe, I don't need to say this in a comparison way, it's just
Right.
like they don't see themselves in their greatness. And they perceive themselves to be less than they are, and then sometimes the people around them see them as less than they are. But really, they're much greater than they give themselves credit for. That's true about Karens as a name, because I study names.
Well, thank you.
Wow. Wow, thank you.
Yay. How many more Karens are in here?
All right, so, well, there is a class on sacred namology in there too.
Love it.
But so let me just say again, I want to thank you guys so much. I especially want to thank Carolina. We're here tomorrow night again. We're doing a totally different thing. It's all about energy, ascension, and awakening. So even if you like that meditation, that was like barely scratching the surface. Channeled stuff. And please remember, if you want to do any of the courses today, you register, you get 200 off. And the list of the courses are here. You can ask me about them. And then here's the sacred membership. You also get 50% off if you register today. Other than that, thank you guys so much for being here. I did like that.
So tomorrow is at 4:30, and it's much more different than what you saw here today. The meditation, she calls it meditation, I wouldn't call it meditation. It's kind of like it is powerful. the healing that she does, the transmissions that she actually shares with everybody, you're gonna feel it. And she gives people the opportunity if they want to heal something to raise a hand, and then the healing actually goes to everybody. I never have experienced a meditation, as she calls it, as the one that she does. So please bring your friends. It's a great opportunity. She's doing it this time as a love offering, and really for what she's going to share, which the information that she gives out is, yeah.
Can I say one other thing? The healing, it is, you do get physical healing, but it's healing that changes your life. It shifts your whole consciousness. It's about the healing that we do. Yes, people bring up stuff around their physical issues or their emotional or mental issues, or even money issues or like social issues, whatever. But what it does is it really is aligning you with source consciousness. So it's clearing out all those aspects of living in separation as a like mere human, you know, where we've lived in this reality that's all about like just this kind of mediocrity. Like humanity's living such mediocre lives. I'm sorry, I am sad to see people in the bank tellers making $7.50 an hour, being miserable, not being able to afford a life. That's because they perceive that that's what their worth and value is, or that that's all that's available. They wouldn't be doing that. And I'm not saying we don't need bank people. I'm saying that we all have accepted a kind of mediocrity on planet Earth because we've been sort of smushed down into these little boxes of powerlessness, and we don't realize that we're gods in bodies, walking around. So
tomorrow
that's part of the clearing, changes your whole experience.
Yes, it goes beyond the physical
Go to the
healing or
quantum
whatever the
field.
wish you guys ask.
Yeah, we're working with divine intelligence.
Yes.
We align with that. So, all right, you guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.